We have been scammed. We have been robbed, not just of our money, but of our freedom and of our power. It was taken by a small handful of narcissistic psychopaths. And it's time to take it back. But we've got to turn the power back on. We do best when we are most free. It's time to fight for that freedom. It's time to end the lesser evil scam. It's time to beat these monsters at their own rigged game. In the past 2 years, I've been blessed to travel across America, meet tens of thousands of incredible people, feed the less fortunate, hold corrupt governments accountable, train candidates and activists, and work with anyone who's willing to fight. And at every turn, I heard the same thing over and over. They're worried about COVID-19, the mandates, healthcare, housing, education, the future that they're leaving behind for their children. They were worried because things just keep getting worse. But when I met them where they were, showed them we cared, and explained to them the causes, effects, and solutions to get us out of this mess, I saw something change in their eyes. I saw hope. We have the solutions. We just need to live them out and invite everyone else to join. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to be leaders and solve problems in our communities. We're going to make headlines and get the kind of attention that spreads our message. We're going to build a culture of winning, getting candidates elected like never before. We're going to empower our neighbors to join us in this fight. We're going to win the public debate and change the culture. We're going to awaken the sleeping giant. We are going to set the world free. When we realize our power, no one can stop us. 2 years ago, this journey began. The next step begins right now with you. I'm Spike Cohen. You are the power, and together, we're about to change everything.
Shut up and sit down.
Yes, sir, we promised you a great minute here.
Now I want a nice, clean game. From all of you.
That's great.
Come call us the R word.
Yeah, even has moments of integrity.
But this has been awesome, and we should do this again.
You're funny.
Are you not entertained?
ATF murdering people.
Is this not why you are here?
With the plan to exterminate the Jews of Europe.
A radical libertarian.
Things on homosexuality and stuff, or just the petty little things that
I'm gonna hop in here real quick.
Like, fucking yes, obviously I did that. And
Welcome to Fite Club.
This is FSM.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Fight. We've had a lot of Fight Club episodes lately that were more about the fight, so tonight's going to be more about the club. We've got some really cool people coming in and out throughout the night, but first up, we have the wonderful people out of Tennessee, Bootleg and Susie Q. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you.
How are you guys doing tonight?
Good. Doing real good. You know, just totally focused on the elections and nothing else. Like, really.
There's an election on tonight?
Yeah.
Oh.
Miss America bitch.
Oh, is it really?
Yes.
Okay.
Dude, I was on the phone with one of my friends earlier today, and I was talking about, you know, because I was like getting everything ready for the show tonight, and
you said friend. Who's friends with you?
It's a really old friend.
Hey, cousins count. Cousins count.
Her and I have been friends longer than I've been a political nerd. So, you know, she met actually even nerdier, worse David, because it's not like I was better when I was 13 or whatever. But I was telling her about the show and like that we were going to cover some elections and stuff, and she was like, "Oh, what elections are happening today?" And I was like,
you know, I said the same thing.
I don't
even
know.
really know.
Like, I'm like, what day is it? Like,
Right. I mean, I've known, like, obviously, I've been following, like, Forest Mommy's campaign and a couple of other people. The really big thing that I've cared about as far as what's going on today is the ballot initiative to legalize recreational cannabis in Ohio. That's, like, the main thing that's happening that I care about, but even that's...
The marijuana?
Yeah.
The devil's lettuce.
The devil's lettuce. So far, the devil's lettuce is winning, as is murdering babies. Because they have issue... Actually, I guess I need to figure out a way that you guys can see my screen. But they've got issue 1 and issue 2 on the statewide ballot. Issue 1 is a constitutional amendment to codify abortion rights. Issue 2 is legalizing adult use marijuana.
So one's constitutional baby murder, but the other one's just a law. So weed's just a law, like an actual plant's just a law.
Yeah.
Fucking dope.
Also,
pun intended.
It also creates a statewide like Bureau of Cannabis, which I don't love, but
Bureau of Cannabis?
Yeah, it's like a whole new...
We're governing this plant now.
Right.
No. They should do the cannabis something bureau, so it becomes Cobb. Because it's Cobb.
No, it's weed.
Yeah, I thought you were going for like a CIA reference, but somehow that one was worse.
It's always worse.
Yeah, I mean, as far as that one goes, the tax, which I mentioned just before we went live, the tax plan on it is, the regulations are all very nondescript because all it does is kind of create this bureau to start regulating cannabis. So after this passes, it could get really shitty, or the Bureau of Cannabis could be taken up by a bunch of Republicans that don't want regulations or any high or taxes, and they kind of go that way. That's what happened in Oklahoma. It's still not recreational, it's just medical, but they're a blue enough state to have pushed it through, but they're such a blood red state that when they went to regulate it, they were like, what do you mean regulate it? We don't believe in that shit.
It's like, yeah, weed's legal, fine. What's this tax bullshit you're talking about?
Yeah, it's great. So there's like there's very little regulation on the actual growing of cannabis in Oklahoma. It's just once you actually start pushing it into the green market, then it has to get tested and regulated and whatever. But you can grow legally and then sell it into the black market without any, like, there's no numbers. They're not tracking like how much you're growing, and they won't see that like only half of it's actually going into the green market like they would in other states.
So they're treating it basically how a lot of farmers operate, right? Like, so a lot of farmers will sell a lot of produce on the side of the road, or they'll sell at a farmer's market or whatever. But if they want to sell to like grocery stores or chains or restaurants, whatever, they have to get it tested. That's with beef, that's with chicken, that's with pork, vegetables, anything that they grow. If they're going to sell it like on the good market, they have to do it through the regulations and all that shit. But if you're just going to sell it outside the fucking, on the side of the road or whatever, nobody regulates it. It sounds exactly like that. That kind of
basically.
Okay.
And the thing is, to sell it on the side of the road is illegal in this case. But it's as illegal as, selling it on the corner in Colorado or New York is, which is, it's illegal, but no one's really cracking down on it. So if you're buying like black market weed in a lot of the Midwest, so honestly, depending on if like you guys know where you get your shit from, a lot of it's probably from Oklahoma. They're like supplying most of the like gray and black market across the country right now because you can just
Good
grow
location.
fields and fields and fields of it without anyone being like, well, is all of this going to get sold in a dispensary? Or are you selling it to those people on the corner? So maybe Ohio goes that way. You know, we'll see. But I don't think it's going to be that good. But we'll see.
Yeah. It is kind of coincidental that now that we're out of Afghanistan, a lot of states have really opened their eyes to legalizing weed. Or like as the war started winding down about 5 years ago. Because you know what the main export of Afghanistan is poppy and weed. They grow a fuck ton of weed in Afghanistan. And magically all these fields get burnt down by the DOD and soldiers and all these operations, and they would have DEA agents out there burning shit. But then, you know, all of a sudden in the US, like, oh, it's legal here. It's fine. Don't even worry about it. But you still got Afghani farmers who's getting their shit mowed down.
Yep. It is nice to see finally. It's weird. Ohio's one of the few states that have voted down weed as a ballot initiative prior. They had this on the ballot in 2018 and it got voted down. It was the first state to do it, and I think now there's only been 2 that have voted down recreational. And that honestly I didn't disagree with it when they did it though, because it was just awful. Like the initiative was basically, we're going to bring in these 2, like one company from Colorado and a company from California, and they're going to handle everything.
Yeah, that's an inside deal.
Yeah, that was the deal. It was just like, we're not going to regulate it. We're just going to like let them regulate themselves. And they're going to be the only ones with licenses, and they're going to be it's just going to be them. It's just going to be these 2 gigantic out-of-state corporations are just going to come in and do all of it.
Was anyone aware of where Hunter Biden was at while all this was going down? Because I'm fairly certain he was probably on the board of both of those companies.
Jesus.
Was it Mississippi like 5 years ago that they passed it? Like the law, like the initiative passed, like it was like a 90-something approval rating or some astronomical, and then they threw it out at the state house because they said, oh well, we haven't met the criteria for these ballot initiatives in almost 40 years, but no one's caught it. So we're just going to throw this one out. Was it Mississippi?
So Mississippi, I want to say Wisconsin and South Dakota have all passed it and had it taken back by either the governor or the Supreme Court or something. I don't know if Wisconsin's the right other state. It's one of those, like Minnesota, like something up in that area is the other one. And it was for 3 different reasons. But I think Mississippi is the one that you're talking about, where the reason was almost non-existent. The second one, I think it's Wisconsin. They said that it wasn't legal because it both legalized, taxed, and regulated it all in one thing, and they have like an almost like a one subject at a time act kind of thing that they obviously never follow in the state house.
When it's something they want, yeah.
Right, but they said that it did too many things in one ballot initiative, and so they yeeted that one. And South Dakota was really just the mayor, or not the mayor, the governor. Was like, if basically threatened to remove Supreme Court justices from their seats if they didn't strike this down.
Jesus, I don't remember hearing about that one. I remember Mississippi because Cajun was whining about it forever, and it was fucked up. I mean, that's absolutely trash. Like, out of 40 years, the one thing they cherry pick is the one thing that gets absolute majority support. But I do like how they struck down an omnibus, ballot initiative, and then probably a week later passed an omnibus fucking bill through the state house.
Oh yeah,
there was like
already 3 in the
14
works.
times the size. Yeah,
you gotta love the just absolute hypocrisy at every level with all of this.
They sit there and they don't even give a shit anymore. They're like, yeah, we're better than you. We have more control than you. You can go fuck yourself. What are you gonna do about it? And we're just like, well, okay, shit.
You right.
I'm gonna sit over here and play with my
toys.
My toys. Oh, see. Yeah. It's a shake weight, I promise.
Oh, Jesus. All right, let's see. Ooh. Well, these are some election results I like. Let's see how much percentage that is. It doesn't say
How much the math do.
It doesn't say how many votes are actually going to be in this election, but so far, for the Ava Town supervisor, Libertarian Keith Redhead, who is a Macy's Caucus endorsed candidate, is winning 75% to 25%.
Is he a ginger?
He is not actually.
That is such a letdown. I was
Right?
like, yes, the perfect name. Was he blonde?
I think he was a brunette. Now I have to go back and look at the fucking Mises Caucus graph. I honestly,
That could be an episode, like, guess the candidate, blonde or brunette, and you just say a name and like, oh, blonde for sure. Like,
You can even do people that people know, and people are like, I have no fucking idea.
I mean,
what site are you on checking these?
I have pulled up a bunch of different like county board of elections websites, and I spent about the last hour and a half just digging through a bunch of bullshit to find these hyper local ridiculous elections that I'm trying to
I believe
follow
it.
Even like Forest Mommies was one of the easier ones because it's like Arvada is a decent sized city, but even that one I had to get through like 3 or 4 pages of just like all of the local elections in Colorado to find hers. And because it wasn't even like, it wasn't alphabetical by the township, it was alphabetical by county, but it was still all of them listed. I'm like, I don't know what county this is in. But
our county is super easy, and it's not a big county. I mean, geographically it's large, but it's not a very populous county, and it's still super easy to get to. And they actually keep a long record of all the elections that they've ever stored digitally. They're all on the website, so you can go by year and see what the election results were.
Interesting.
I found it was like 79 or 78, something like that, was the last year of like an actual Southern Democrat was listed on the ballot.
Huh. All right.
God, sharing the screen. It's gonna be porn. It's gonna be like some weird porn, like tentacles and animals. Yes, told you.
Jesus Christ. Oh man. I'm trying to
It just
figure
came
out.
That's what she said.
Ooh.
So this is what Keith Redhead looks like. But
Oh, he's
but
a
yeah.
youngin'.
So where did those ones go? Over here. It's literally 3 votes to 1 vote, but we are winning at 25%. Man, I don't know. I don't think I can do. I can't screen share and have the screen up in a way where it looks good on the show. That's annoying. It like minimized us when I shared the screen, but that's a bummer. All right, but yeah, it's looking good so far. I know more than 4 people have to live in this town, but maybe not that many will vote, and so we
It's
might
like
win
30
one.
people.
Yeah, like a class showed up.
I guess I could look up at least population. That is a thing that they probably have on the internet.
You can probably just Google it.
Yeah. Population was 678 in the last census.
The problem is it's not they're still counting votes, right? But the problem is that there's not too many to count. It's just it's the one old lady who volunteered to do it this weekend. Because my town's got that too. Like it's all old ladies that work in the clerk's office, and they are slower than damn it, but they're super nice. They're super nice ladies, but old as fuck.
Yeah.
So poor Gertrude, she's probably on like the 5th ballot, and she's like counting slow as shit. Can't see.
Poor lady. Yeah, you would think that they would I feel like that would be something that you would get a bunch of like college kids to volunteer and do, not a bunch of old people.
It's usually people that already work for the county that do it. Yeah, it's a liability, I guess. Can't just have kids working in mines and shit anymore.
Man, Tennessee is. I was trying to pull up like, see what the internet said was the most interesting races in Tennessee, and do y'all just like not actually have elections today?
Oh,
I don't believe there's anything today. I think it's all next year.
Ah.
There may be some counties or towns that have stuff this year, but nothing big. And a lot of the county stuff is in August instead of November.
Weird. Yeah,
They don't like it to interfere with presidential elections or state elections, so they want the counties to do them in August if they can.
I guess that makes sense. It always kind of.
I could also be fucking wrong. That could be the primaries. It's August. Fuck. No, God.
Yeah, it looks like there's like a couple of like special elections. But I'm not seeing really anything. As far that's actually coming up as today.
Yeah, I'm not showing anything on the county page, so we don't have anything here. Future election dates. Yeah, everything's 24. March, August. Oh, yeah, so county general election is on August 1st. All county offices listed for the March 5, 2024 Republican. Yeah, so they do have the county general election on August, and then state elections are in November. That's right. Yeah, I was right. All 24 constables. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, even like the mayor election for, I'm looking at Memphis and Nashville both had their mayor elections this year, but it happened last month.
Yeah, mayor races are on August 1st, and then alderman as well. City of Kingsport Municipal. Yeah, the primaries are in August. Yeah, board, just like school board seats, stuff like that. Yeah, so all, like I said, yeah, so I was right. All the county stuff is in August, and then the state stuff's in November. I just want to make sure I wouldn't lie to somebody.
There you go. Good on you.
Finally.
Wait, what?
Somebody find me like, you were wrong about this one thing on David Fite's show, and you're a fucking idiot. Okay.
I mean, they wouldn't be wrong, but this would be a silly thing to get that out of hand about.
Do you know people in this party?
Unfortunately.
Yeah,
Are you ready to go? It's almost 9:30.
Yeah, a few minutes.
Pulling in a couple more results from Lebanon City Council. This candidate caused some trouble over in the LNC email list, but coming in a nice, beautiful 5th out of 5, we have Joshua Toms with 7% of the vote, which is a higher number than we're used to. But
Lebanon, what?
Pennsylvania?
Ohio.
But I'll say there's Lebanon, Virginia up the road. There's Lebanon, Kansas. Lebanon.
There's Lebanon. I remember.
Yeah, I was like, you gotta be a little more specific on that one.
Yeah, Lebanon, Ohio, member of city council. It's a vote for 3. There's 5 people running, and
dead last.
Our wonderful libertarians are coming in last. I was hoping that the naysayers would be proven wrong on this one, and that little bit of money there at the end would have actually made something happen, but it doesn't look like it.
So a question I've been posing to myself very recently is, how viable is it to actually run candidates as a third party right now versus organizing and then just taking action inside one of the other parties and then moving out and be saying, hey, I'm libertarian, kind of like what's his name up in Congress did.
Amash,
Yeah,
yeah.
Amash, yeah.
You know, I don't know. There's
Was that a whole
arguments for
ass
either
train that
side.
just went by? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
there's
just
train
heard
tracks
like
right
a
here.
huge whistle. I'm like, oh, I lost my head.
Yeah, the Eastman train's like right there.
Yeah, I don't know, because we've seen third party candidates be able to do some stuff here and there, and then other times in like what should be a super winnable local election, we still get absolutely creamed.
And see, here's the thing. Here's why I asked that, and it's not because I don't think third parties at all are unwinnable. It's just I don't know if the name Libertarian's killing us or if like other Libertarian candidates is killing us, what it is. But Rob Burke twice has run as an independent and has come very, very close to winning not only a city council seat, which he lost by 4 votes to a 20-year Republican incumbent in Republican-held territory, but then he lost by 20 votes to the mayoral incumbent who's been there, I think, 10 years, also a Republican. But he's coming so damn close. No, it was 200 votes, but it was a much larger race, anyways. But it was so damn close. It makes you think, why not maybe run as independent? Obviously, we want ballot access. I'm still going to fight the fight on that, but I want to. What's the best move forward, Mr. Fight? What do we do?
I think in a state like yours, running independent is almost across the board a terrible choice. You know, there's some states that are either really one-sided or purple, or like really purple enough to where to kind of get in between two like really shitty candidates, you can run as an independent or a third party and maybe win something. But especially in states like New York or Tennessee, where ballot access is so absolutely fucked for anyone that's not within the two-party system, it's next to impossible to actually get anything done outside of just running a perpetual campaign over and over and over again, which has its value for the movement per se, but it's not winning seats.
Yeah. I'm not ready to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but I'm just trying to figure out what the best move forward is, because obviously what we're doing now isn't working. We've got to fix something. So I mean, it's whatever it is, it's broken fundamentally. So we got to figure something out because it does get disheartening watching year after year after year all these great campaigns put in all this hard work and then come up very, very short. And it's not any lack of necessarily them. Some candidates it is. I'll say that. I'm sure some candidates just suck. But figuring out what's broken and then fixing it's the big task. Fixing it's not hard. Well, fixing it here will be hard, but figuring it out is going to be hard too.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, I have to agree with you there. Guess it will. I mean, I think that we'll continue to do better every year. I guess my biggest concern is whether or not we actually have time to wait as many years as it will take for us to get somewhere before there aren't elections anymore. That's really where I'm at. Like I'm a firm believer in the like pragmatic, like if we put in 20 to 30 years of one consistent plan of building a bench, of building the infrastructure and the data and everything else, we could be a viable party by 2048. But I don't know that we have till 2048, That's a long time to continue to plunge deeper into World War III.
Yeah, it's all built in a house of cards, and I hear the wind chimes picking up.
It was deep.
Oof.
It's an old Southern slang on that one.
I think you just made it up.
I did.
Which makes it even cooler.
I make up things.
And then he's like, it's been around forever. No,
I just said that. Someone else may have said it before me, but I just now was like, this will be a great analogy, and I'm gonna get so much shit talking on it.
Oh my god, that's beautiful.
That was amazing. It was beautiful. This is recorded, right?
Oh yeah.
Because I want to like play it over and over so I can go to sleep. It'll be like my ocean sounds. I'm being serious.
She's calling you boring, I think is what I just
She
heard.
is.
Yeah.
No.
She's called me mayonnaise white. That's fucking rude. I like that long silence there. No one said a thing.
Are you a fan of mayonnaise though? Like, are you mayonnaise white? Is that an accurate critique?
I will say the only thing I put mayonnaise on is a bologna and cheese sandwich, but there's mustard to counteract it. But I do kind of like the mayonnaise on that. Nothing else though.
That's fair. That's usually where I go use it the most also. Oh man. So it's looking like the Republicans will maintain control of Houston. Those results are only about halfway in, but it still has John Whitmore. It's technically a nonpartisan race, but we know who they are. But Sheila Jackson Lee was the Democratic candidate basically, and she is coming in second. Not by much. She could still eke it out, but normally.
What was the Republican's name?
John Whitmire.
Okay, so hear me out, right? I can almost guarantee you, I can tell you a candidate's political affiliation by their name. John Whitmore, 100% Republican. There's no way that name runs on a Democrat ticket.
But is he blonde or brunette?
Sheila Jackson, 100% can tell you for a fact, Democrat name. So like, give me another random one.
I think I'm actually wrong on this because I'm pulling up his background, and he's currently unelected state house rep as a Democrat. So it's
bullshit.
Back-to-back Democrats, and Gilbert Garcia, I guess, was the only.
What was his name? John Whitmore.
John Whitmire. It's Mire, but.
That's wrong. See, I'd be wrong on shit. Dude, he looks like a fucking cop.
Yeah.
He does look like a Republican. He looks like he's a cop. And he's a Democrat? Since when? Oh, no way. Is Kathy Whitmer still living? What the fuck?
That's a little bit terrifying.
I guess she was like an old.
Since 1973. This dude is 74 years old, and he's about to win mayor of Houston. Houston's about to elect a 74-year-old man as mayor.
That's it.
What do
you say that like our president's not 900?
I was about to say that they sound like they're the whole country trying to get like. I don't know. I guess I expect more out of local politics, even if it's in a big city.
Well, our mayor here in the town that I live, the previous one, didn't even live in this town. He lived in Knoxville and only just like bought a plot of land here so he could legally run.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, there was a whole campaign run on it. People still voted for him because he had like all the Republican talking points. I was like, what the fuck?
Does he actually do things?
So in this town, it's a factory town, and the biggest factory that's been here since the early 1900s is Eastman, and they run this town. You just kind of like hold an office, and they tell you what they want.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah. But they're also the largest employer. They bring in the most money. They're a global company that's headquartered here. So they kind of pretty much get whatever the fuck they want. Like they want a new road paved, they get it. So
makes sense.
But
all right, we have our next guest in the waiting room. And
well, thank you for having us on to hang out.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for coming on. This was great.
I will always come on for you, David.
Why are you like this? All right, so we're gonna cut to a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Shut up and sit down.
All right, so we've got our next guest coming on the screen. Let's see if I can make it look a little bit better than that. There we go. The one, the only, Mr. Ben Heckman. Welcome back to the Fight Club.
Yo, what's up, guys? What's up, everybody? I'm at work right now.
The absolute dream. Start live on a podcast and getting paid hourly.
Yeah, this is great. Hey, oh shit, my boss is over there. I was about to be like, yo, I'm on a podcast. Come say hi. So it's election night, isn't it, David?
It is election night. We are following.
Did you vote?
A couple of I did not actually vote this year. No. Everyone on my ballot was running unopposed, and so I didn't feel like driving 20 minutes to go do nothing.
Yeah, that's a complete waste of time. Literally nobody needed to vote in that election.
Right. And the thing is, I don't even really...
What's even the point of having an election?
Yeah, I don't even really dislike any of the people that were on, like, the incumbents that were obviously going to win from the ballot. Because, like, you know, I don't hate my town clerk. She's pretty all right, you know?
Yeah.
She's a fucking old lady that I've gone to church with since I was a kid. Like, she's great. So, like, as fun as it is to check a box with somebody who you know's name next to it, that's kind of lost its fun since I've worked in so many of these elections. But I'm following one election very, very closely. It's in bumfuck middle of New York. So far, there are only 4 recorded votes for this town supervisor election. But Libertarian Keith Redhead, who's a Mises Caucus.
That is last name?
Yes, it's actually Redhead. He is
so
not
he's
a
not
redhead.
like. Damn it! I was gonna say it's like the best redheaded libertarian out there.
Yeah.
Like the competition's over. Like it's in his name.
But so far, there are 4 votes in, and he is winning 3-1 again in a 2-way Libertarian versus Republican race. So.
Oh, interesting.
So far,
is this
we
like
are
close to
winning.
you?
It's like an hour. Actually.
Okay.
Little less than that probably. I honestly I've never heard of this guy until I was going down through all of the Mises Caucus endorsements today. I just like went down through their whole Twitter looking at all the people that they had endorsed. And I will say real quick, I also reached out to the Radical Caucus to see if they had a list of endorsements.
Oh yeah, those guys.
They endorsed 1 candidate this year.
That's kind of pathetic. I gave them $1 a year for like 4 years straight, and this is what they do with that money.
Yeah, apparently. And I couldn't find.
No, put them down there because we'll be moving down there. So don't.
Yeah, so I'm not even gonna cover that one election though. You're good. I muted you from the actual stream a couple seconds in, so you're good. The other election that we're now finally starting to actually get some results in is Arvada City Council out in Colorado. The beautiful Jessica.
I was gonna ask about that.
Is running for City Council District 4, and so far it is 63%.
Oh, you're supposed to put him here?
To 36%. So she's losing almost 2 to 1.
Okay. You said she's losing?
Yeah, about 2 to 1.
Shit.
So far,
I knew not to get my hopes up too much about that one, even though I really wanted to.
Yeah, that one I definitely had my hopes up. But we'll see. It's still only about 35% recorded because they're also mountain time, so it's not even 8 o'clock there yet. So
so there's still like a chance
open at the moment. So yeah, there's
oh
a
shit,
chance.
yeah, okay.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
You're saying there's a chance. Can I explain my voting strategy to you and get your thoughts on it?
Go for it.
So when I voted this morning, by the way, I did vote this morning. Okay, I'm a good little civilian, good little American. And thank you. And I decided that I'd vote Republican for every office except the judicial offices. I voted Democrat for every judicial office, only because I trust them more to not give out like harsh prison sentences for nonviolent crimes. How do you feel about that?
I think that makes a lot of sense to me. I've typically voted fairly similarly. If there's not a libertarian running, I'm either writing in just a random person like Spike Cohen, or if I'm actually checking real boxes, I basically do fairly similar.
Unfortunately, there were no third-party candidates of any kind on my ballot. Otherwise, I would have definitely done that. But
you don't live within the city of Pittsburgh, right?
I do and don't. I'm not registered to vote in the city of Pittsburgh.
Fair enough.
But I'm registered to vote in Allegheny County still. So it's like I'm still voting for like same people other than school board essentially.
Gotcha. Fair enough. I wasn't sure. I hadn't looked it up yet to see if like mayor of Pittsburgh was a thing this year.
No, that was not up for election. I walked up to the polling volunteers that were like there for the school board candidates or whatever, and I was like, all right, here's my like big issue. We need to bring back designated smoking areas in high schools.
How'd they go for that?
And they went, yeah, I don't know about that.
Shocker.
Yeah, these were the ladies that wanted porn in schools for kids. So, what are you gonna say?
Fair enough. Yeah. It's about the same. I feel like, there's going to be kids in school smoking regardless of what you try to do, so you might as well.
Well, I told them, I got suspended twice in high school for vaping in the bathroom, and that was traumatizing. My parents were very mad at me, and they grounded me for a very long time, okay? And I explained this to them, using my amazing emotional appeal skills. And They just weren't having it.
Fair enough. I support it. I support designated smoking areas everywhere. Because I understand.
They used to have them.
Yeah, I understand people's right to not have you smoking in just like dumb parties or dumb places all over the place, right? Like, keep it in a spot where you're not bothering anybody. Anyone that doesn't want to smell it or see it doesn't have to, and a place to be at peace.
Exactly, like, give us a designated smoking area, like right, like outside, like on campus. I'm sure you'd have a lot less stressed out students.
Yeah, a lot of students that can actually focus.
Yeah, nicotine increases brain cognition, or that's what Tucker Carlson told me. I trust that guy.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it is a true thing. There's a lot of things that make you better temporarily that it makes you worse permanently. There's a lot of that kind of a trade-off.
Well, so that's why, David. That's why the good Lord made us these guys right here. This is a plug. I am getting paid by Zin to shout them out. Just full disclosure. But it's literally just nicotine. Like, you're putting that shit in your lip, and there's no other chemicals except for nicotine. So it literally can't be bad for you. It's actually good for you.
I don't. Neither of us are doctors, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just preface with that. Don't take any of this as medical advice. However, I think you're probably right.
Nicotine is really good for you. Everybody should do it, regardless of age or gender or whatever.
Guys in the comments, let me know what you all think. Should we encourage nicotine usage amongst our high school population?
Yeah, maybe the Mises Caucus takeover wouldn't have, become irrelevant if this was one of their most important.
I had one of my favorite like random hot sent tweet takes that the blue pill would really just be a one-time cure for autism pill. Like, that's all it would take. If they just cured our autism, we would be able to go about our normal lives.
I honestly think the cure for our autism might be probably a dopamine detox. I've heard a lot of good things about the dopamine detox, and it seems like a lot of people are suffering from too much dopamine stimulation.
Yeah.
And it's fucked their attention spans, and it's made them anxious and depressed.
Yeah, no, I can personally relate on that one. It's a lot. It's a lot to handle, just being alive this day and age. But yeah, I think our generation has it rough. The next couple generations are really fucked. But
which is why, to make this go full circle, which is why we need to get out and vote, David. Why we need to do our civic duty, have our voice be heard. I was going around my place of work today, reminding my coworkers that it's voting day. And, almost all of them are like, whatever, yeah, okay, that's gonna matter, What do we do? How do we get people on board with local elections more so than federal elections, David? How do we do this?
I mean, I think it's already happening, to be honest with you, on both both sides of the spectrum as well as the people in the middle, because you're seeing from the Republicans and the right wingers a rallying cry towards city council or especially school board.
Yeah,
on the
that's
left,
a hot cultural war right now.
Yeah, and on the left,
I should say battlefront in the cultural war is like school board elections,
right.
particularly.
And the left is somewhat playing defense there, but even more so, they're bum rushing like district attorney and county court positions as much as they possibly can, especially in these bigger cities. You're seeing like the most progressive politicians to win elections in the U.S. like across the board are some of these like the DA in San Francisco that got booted, but also like the DA in Austin and LA, and a lot of these far left cities are going like crazy far left when it comes to the DA races, which in a lot of cases is something that me as an anarchist likes. But when they actually start making a call for refunding the police sound like the sane take because they went that far.
At the end of the day, they are still statists.
Yeah. But like I feel like a lot of these DAs, they were kind of poison pills from like a legislative take. They intentionally went too far. You saw it in New York City too. And like a lot of cities that really went with the defund the police thing, they went so far. Like New York City did bail reform back in 2019. Some of the like hardest hitting bail reform we've seen in the country. Like they moved the needle farther in one swing than that.
Was
really
that like a ballot
else.
initiative?
It was actually, I think it was a city council bill.
Cool. Okay.
That went through, and they made, or actually, if I'm not mistaken, it was a state legislature thing that then like initially, and then New York City Council pushed it even a little bit further. Because I've talked to cops up here, upstate, that are complaining about the same thing. Basically, the only bail requirement offenses are like attempted murder or murder. Everything else has no bail, which sounds great, except for that still includes like any form of theft, any assault that didn't cross the line into attempted murder, all of like a whole bunch of still not victimless crimes. And so you were getting like it helped a lot of people, but you were still able to get at least one headline a week of dude gets arrested 3 times in a 48-hour period, all for just like beating up a random old lady on the street. Because we're talking like Brooklyn and downtown Manhattan, where there's just like a lot of fucking crazy people that should be in a mental institution, but really the only defense we have for them is the police, because the social programs in New York suck. And so yeah, they were just having to like catch and release just actual violent criminals, and then they're looking at undoing a lot of this and moving the needle way back further than like where the actual logical place would have been. So we're gonna be back to shitty bail policies, and a bunch of other places have been pointing to New York as like, see, why would we do bail reform? We don't want to look like New York City. It's annoying as fuck.
Oh, that's infuriating. That's just the anarcho-tyranny shit that Michael Malice has talked about before. Mm-hmm. I mean, every city is like becoming that now. I mean, Pittsburgh is certainly nowhere near as bad as New York or Philadelphia, but it's still like scary. Like I can't walk to the bar down the street from my house anymore without coming across a person who very much so looks like they want to hurt me.
Yeah.
And everyone else around them, and potentially themselves. This is why we need to unleash the police.
Oh god.
You laugh, but I'm barely joking.
I know, that's why I laugh. Jesus fuck. Not endorsed on that one. Please don't come for me. Fucking. I don't know if I posted
You'll learn, David.
The link to this early enough to get any real hate viewership. So the last
Do we have any viewers right now?
I believe so. There's been a few people sticking around throughout most of the show. We've got a.
Wait, I should tweet it. I haven't tweeted it yet.
Oh.
I know I retweeted it, but like, definitely retweeted. Okay, wait, I'm just gonna quote tweet it.
I made some brownies for the occasion. We'll see how good they turned out.
Oh, nice.
Not fun brownies.
I ate my dab pen outside a couple minutes ago.
These are just regular brownies. Well, actually, they're not regular brownies. I had a stoned thought just as I was about to put them in the oven. I was like, if I mix in oatmeal before I bake this, will it come out kind of like no-bake cookies? And so we're about to find out. Kind of, sort of, yeah.
Oh, damn. Hey, congrats, Chef Davis.
Oh, man, I had mini chocolate chips. I should have put those in there, too. That was a missed opportunity. An update on the race in Ava Town Supervisor here in New York. Again, Mr. Keith Redhead. There are now. Change the screen over. There we go. There are now 136 votes in on this election, and we are still at 66.91% of the vote.
That's a lot more votes than before, right? You said there were like 4 votes.
There was 4 votes before. Yeah. So it could.
So we're still in the lead there.
Yeah, we are still in the lead. It's 91 to 45.
There you go.
Yeah, so we're still at 2/3, and this is a town of 700. Is the total population? So I didn't find a number for the voting population anywhere.
Yeah, I know.
But it can't be much more than about 250 to 300. Let alone how many will actually show up to vote today. So this might be actually close to the end result. Polls are closed.
Do you know if this guy is a fusion? Do you know if this guy's a fusion candidate or if he's just running straight libertarian?
He is just running straight libertarian. There are,
hell yeah.
According to what I'm looking at here, there are no. Both of them are just running straight one ticket, which is very strange that a Republican in New York does not have the Conservative Party line. That is very weird to me. Unless this county.
What do you mean the Conservative Party line? What does that mean?
So there's another third party in New York called the Conservative Party that
really
exclusively runs fusion candidates. It's pretty much every Republican candidate is running on 2 party lines, and every once in a while they will for like a local race, or sometimes for like a really shitty congressman or something like that, the Conservative Party or the Working Families Party, which is basically the Democrat version.
I do know of them, yeah.
Every once in a while break from their assigned party to endorse someone else. But really it's they're more of a caucus within the party in actuality. So the what in New York politics they call the mini squad, because It's basically the same as the squad in Congress, but it's in our state house and Senate, and they're all friends with AOC, and a bunch of them share constituency with her and whatnot. Most of them are working families party candidates. Like, that's what they really put forward as their like main thing, but they win because they have the Democrat Party line every time around. But they wear the pin that says WF and whatnot. The Conservative Party kind of does similar stuff where someone will run, conservative David Mathis. This is the Republican running in this race. But when it comes time to vote, he's still there on the R line, and so he's still going to win. And every once in a while, the Conservative Party will beat the Republican Party in a race like that, like a small local race, but it doesn't really matter to anyone. The only time...
Why is it that I find this like weird like third party stuff so much more fascinating than like any libertarian theory?
I don't know. I'm a very big fan of fusion voting. This is something that's very controversial in the LPNY, but I personally really like it, and I really like it as a tool, because the thing is, you don't you can use it the way that like the Working Families and Conservative Party normally does, which is you can run a candidate that gets either the R's or the D's to say yes, we like this guy, and then almost definitely win that race. Or you could get the Working Families and Conservative Party to joint buck their party at the same time and have a conservative, libertarian, Working Families, independent screen candidate or something like that. And that could actually...
you can like stack all those parties on top of each other? Has anyone ever done that before?
Not really. Larry Sharp was trying, but he didn't make it on the ballot at all.
Yeah.
But
that is such a tragic story, the Larry Sharp, like the 2018 run, and then he ran again in 2020, right?
He ran in 22. It was 22.
That's right.
All right, we have another.
Yeah, that was
joining into the fray. Let me see if I can. Hello. There we go. All right, Mr. Jacob, Mr. Rise to Liberty, welcome to the fight. You are coming through just fine. Your voice sounds fucking beautiful. That is a good microphone, dude.
Hell yeah, thank you. Yeah, that better be for $130.
Yeah, it sounds like you are sitting next to me, honestly. Like, I have fairly decent headphones on right now, and mixed with the sound quality that's coming through on your mic. Or maybe I'm just, maybe Ben's is just so bad that it's just the comparison.
It's bad. It's really bad. I'm literally, my microphone is an earbud in my ear under my beanie right now, and I'm in a loud warehouse, scanning things. This is not optimal for being on a podcast.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why I'm doing this.
Warehouse has terrible acoustics.
Yeah.
I am pretty pleasantly surprised with how little, like, I have not heard an ounce of background noise from your end at all. The people
That's probably from my beanie
in the background a couple of times has come through, but no actual like warehouse noise, which is kind of wild to me.
That's wild to me too. This place is like a fucking shit show.
Where are you at? Like, where do you work?
I will not be revealing that information.
Word. I worked in a warehouse for 10 years. I worked in U.S. Foods, and I worked in a beer warehouse for most of that.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was all right. It was all right. It was nice during the summer. It was cold, but just office politics was garbage.
Yeah, was it very bureaucratic and nonsensical?
Oh yeah, I led a mask rebellion during the whole COVID thing, and
that's so based.
And ended up getting fired for that. So,
you
know,
good on you though. I started working
worthy.
here after the whole like pandemic mask thing, so I never experienced that. But there are there are people here that still wear masks, and I have to bite my tongue.
Dude, that's wild. That's just ridiculous. Like, I get it if you want to wear one, nobody's gonna force you to not, but it's just weird. It's weird.
I might take a double take just because I'm surprised to see one on your face still in 2023.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I think that the people who were actually like physically or verbally confronting people about that were the worst part of it all, in my opinion, because they made us sound like idiots.
Yeah.
Well, the most confrontation was coming from the left confronting people that weren't wearing masks. I saw a lot less people that were anti-mask confronting people that were wearing masks.
I agree. I'm not saying that it was the most. I'm saying it was the worst part of it, because you expected that from the people who actually thought, because the people who were confronting non-mask wearers legitimately bought into, you're killing grandma, you're killing my grandmother. How could they fully bought into that. The non-mask wearers, the anti-maskers, there was no you're killing there's no way to that way there you no matter what you believe, even if you think that this the full blown can all the way what's basically truth now, but if you were all the way into the conspiracy theories of it's like a government propaganda, even if COVID isn't real, the virus never existed, not a single person died, and it was all just bullshit, there's still no damage in wearing a mask. Shut the fuck up. Just leave them alone.
Yeah.
We get to maintain the moral high ground and move forward. But they made the COVID regime people lose the moral high ground because those stupid fucks existed. And definitely not as many of them as the other side, but it was enough to where what you said of what we both just said of I'm not going to bother you if you're wearing a mask wasn't universally true, and that sucked.
Honestly,
it's almost we should just mind our own business.
Yeah, exactly. I might make fun of you for wearing a mask, especially these days, but I'm not gonna try and pull rank on you,
Right.
It's so weird, but I genuinely have fear for that very thing happening. But I view it as the next thing to get attacked like that is going to be privacy. And it's going to be the whole I don't have anything to hide. I'm not doing anything bad. And so why do you need privacy? Because that's going to be coming down the pipeline because of internet anonymity, all the crypto stuff, it's gonna get out of control because it's gonna be it's gonna be sold to everyone as oh well, terrorists use privacy, and then you're gonna get
that's how they sold the Patriot Act, right?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And it's going to be the same people who got a high from going after non-maskers because they finally got this little taste of power.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to do the same thing, and it's just going to be a nightmare.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more. All right, guys, if you haven't already looked at the description in the chat, this show is sponsored by Tyranny. Go check it out right now. And if you use code FSM, you're going to get 10% off that first purchase. And so Ohio has actually called both of their ballot issues for. So they have a constitutional protected right to abortion, and they now have adult use cannabis in the state of Ohio. Those two both got called already. It's only 71 and 73% reporting, but it's 56 to 44 on both. There's a very small vote difference on this one, which I find really amusing. I don't know of anyone that was voting one like for one and against the other. I didn't see that at all on the internet, which makes sense. It's logical. No update on the Jessica Fenske election that I've seen so far. It's still only a 35% reporting, so that's not doing us anything. Libertarian Michael Redhead is still in the lead at 66%. Ava Town Supervisor and Joshua Toms is still in last place out of 5 for Lebanon City Council in Ohio. So we're doing well in one race, which is here in New York, which I find very interesting. That was not something I was expecting. I didn't even know that we were running anyone this year in New York, to be perfectly honest with you.
Are you following any Pennsylvania elections right now?
I was looking for the results I was looking for Jeff Douglas's election results.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Which I couldn't find anywhere, but let's see if I can find some other stuff out of
like Exeter County or something like that.
Yeah, I think he was running for also running for town supervisor, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Where'd he go? Yeah, township supervisor. Electionreturns.pa.gov. Let's see if this is actually a helpful website.
What, Ballotpedia?
No, I'm on pa.gov site.
Ah.
What county is Exeter Township in? Does anybody know? Anybody in the chat? If you know what county Exeter Township is in, let me know real quick. Save me some time here. Are there any elections you are following out there in Utah, Mr.
Unfortunately, not really. So I actually just got my ballot sent to me a couple days ago, and we're voting, at least in my county, for some sort of expansion of the sheriff's department. Obviously, I'm voting no, even though I like our sheriff. He can suck a dick. But outside of that, we did have a libertarian, former Republican. He actually worked for the Utah GOP and switched sides, came to the Libertarian Party because he saw how corrupt it was. He was running for U.S. Congress in a special election, but he lost out to another, big R Republican. It was super unfortunate. He tried getting a hold of LP National and Mises Caucus and stuff to send out some email, try to drum up some support, and nothing. So that that actually really pissed me off, only because it's like, oh, okay, well, there at the time when he was running, there was only 2 people running in the United States. It was him and somebody else on the East Coast, and it's like this guy has a proven track record. Like he's gotten 7 people into office in his county, and so it's
what
not
office
like,
was he running for?
He was running for U.S. Congressional District 2.
Yeah, the Mises Caucus doesn't endorse federal level candidates. From what
I know that. I'm a state organizer, but the point is to send out an email, because they could have sent out an email and say, hey, here's somebody that should be on your radar, which I've gotten emails like that from them before.
Oh, okay. My bad.
No, you're good. But it's like, even LP National didn't do anything, and it's like, really, guys, like this is what you want. But Utah always gets the shaft when that happens, and so it didn't really surprise me. It's just, it is what it is. closest race I've been watching is, of course, Forest Mommy. So,
yes, we are all holding out for Forest Mommy.
Yeah.
Oh, RP.
Jeff Douglas is in 5th out of 5 with 699 votes against 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, and a Libertarian. Wonder how many you get to vote for. It doesn't say that.
yeah, I guess I should pull up my county, see exactly what's going on.
This is by far the worst website that I've had to dig through so far. Yeah, hold on. We're gonna still pull this over and share this screen on the show just to show you guys how ridiculous Berks County, Pennsylvania is. You have to search through this gigantic list of all of the things that are up for election, which luckily I knew that we were looking for town supervisor, Exeter. But there's a 2-year position and a 6-year position, which is interesting.
If you ever want to see a really slick website, go check out the Utah Legislature website. It's easily the best. I think it's so slick. Everything's all categorized nice and organized. It is beautiful. Whoever runs their website really knows.
I bet it's a Mormon.
I actually wouldn't be surprised.
I currently have a calculating results, please stand by message. That's what everybody's looking at right now. Jesus Christ. Berks County, PA. I literally just had the results up. Can I just go back to where I was? Like, let me see if I can. There we go. Jeff Douglas. Boom. Libertarian.
Yeah, okay. So all of our elections here in my county, general election day isn't even until November 21st.
Oh, nice. I had that problem. I had Bootleg and Susie Q on earlier, and they're in Tennessee, and they already had all of their elections. And if I had realized that, I could have gone through. We could have started off the show with elections that are already over. That sounds like a super logical place to start, but fucking nope. Yeah, we had another. This one looks like it's pretty much done. So we'll throw this one up one last time.
What's that?
Clinton Coward, running for Savannah alderman. Got 300 votes. He's taking 4th place out of 4 at 8.12%. Not our best showing, but not our worst. And that is a sizable place to be running. I mean, it's a district position because it's alderman, but still, Savannah, Georgia. That's not a small town like a lot of these other things that we're covering.
That's not a nowhere town.
No, not at all. Oops. I forgot that Zoom doesn't let you actually unmute people once you've muted them. So Ben, you gotta unmute yourself. Fucking I'm so used to just using like the in-call features, or really I'm just used to only having one person at a time, so I can just mute desktop audio and be good. But that would have muted both of you, and I didn't want to do that. So
I'm sure you're not used to having someone on who's live from a warehouse. So.
That is true. I have done a few interesting shows. I did an episode with Adam Kokesh once, And like, mind you,
very interesting show.
mind you, I booked this 2-3 weeks in advance. This was while I was actually like doing stuff pretty well in advance, and like because I was on the road. So I was doing it from a hotel room that I was sharing with 2 coworkers who were in and out of the room the entire time, but very quiet and like actually pretty nice about everything. They were like playing Xbox on the TV that was like, and they were sitting on the bed. They just had headphones on. They were chill. But he did the show from his car in a Walmart parking lot or something like that. And he was like, he had like just finished grocery shopping and like did an hour podcast and then drove home. And I was like, what? What is this?
Not even close to the craziest thing that guy's done, but
that
is
it's not even the craziest thing he's done
move.
In a Walmart parking lot. But
oh yeah, dude. Oh my god, I love Adam Kokesh with all of my heart, dude. He's a legend. He will always be a legend.
I used to hate that guy. I used to be like one of those like annoyingly minarchist people. That like I actively disliked people like Adam Kokesh because I thought that they were kooky and crazy and made my really sound sane ideology sound stupid to the normies, and I didn't appreciate that. Little did
Minarchy, don't you mean like constitutional monarchy?
I mean, mind you, I'm not a minarchist anymore for reasons, but at the time I was a very, very pragmatic libertarian, and so I thought that, like, you know, you can't campaign on abolishing the federal government. No one's gonna vote for that. Turns out I was wrong. I was very wrong. We've gotten quite a few votes on platforms like that. And I'd love to see someone like Spike Cohen run on a platform like that again. Oh, man.
No, it's minarcho-monarchism, which is absolutely hilarious to me.
I've heard of anarcho-monarchism, which I think is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
So minarcho-monarchism, it's actually like a half joke. Let's see, it's made as a response to anarcho-monarchism, which itself is considered an oxymoron. Minarcho-monarchism is a economically far-right minarchist and likely traditional ideology that calls for an absolutely minimal state ran by a single hereditary monarch. Absolutely hilarious.
I hate it. Isn't that like the Pete Quinones methodology?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's basically just a right-wing Marxist at this point.
Oh, I love Pete.
You know,
I do too.
You know what happens when you go right social and left economic, where they meet, the thing where they cross paths? It's usually called National Socialism.
Yeah.
Sometimes shortened to something else. That's really the only place you get those.
Yeah, that's true.
What is it? What would be a good way to shorten it? Do you think like Nasho?
Yeah.
Maybe Nasho,
Maybe he'll be a Nazbol first. Those are my favorite people. The people that self-identified nationalist Bolsheviks. Those people are wacky.
I did watch your show that you did with Roger. Very well done. But I loved your explanation of like the anarchist state. And it really got me to thinking. It's like, because I myself am anarcho-capitalist or voluntarist or whatever the hell the label is these days. But it's like, I think that the state could totally exist if it could, open up competition like that. That's my position on school. I'm not even opposed to like abolishing all of school, like government ran schools. It's like, just open up the market and let the market decide. But then that turns the government into just another company.
Yeah, it ceases to be the government at that point.
Yeah, which I'm fine with.
Hell yeah.
So
I think the biggest problem is like the monopoly on force, right?
Yeah.
So like another kind of pseudo minarchist thing that I've heard. There was somebody that ran for mayor of New York City a couple years back, and he doesn't even live in New York anymore, and he's kind of expanded this project out into this thing. But it used to be called Smart Cities, and it was basically a very like crypto blockchain-esque foundation to what would effectively be a company of which all of the citizens within its jurisdiction would be shareholders, that would take over all of the actual finance side of government. So completely separate the oversight of like stuff like the roads and the food banks and the Medicaid and Medicare and all of this other stuff, completely separate that from the courts and the police. Two completely different entities that have nothing to do with each other. You have a government, and then you have this other company entity that basically still has a semi-forceful monopoly on a lot of the stuff that it does, but it's not coupled with the other monopoly on force of the police and the courts and everything. And his argument was that it would take a lot of the teeth out of the problems in the actual like court system if it wasn't so political and so part of party politics and all of this other stuff that has to do with all of this other stuff. You're not voting for a judge based on what legislature he would like better. It's just none of that. And there was also a piece of it where like all of welfare would be simplified to more of like a UBI, but with a specific crypto coin that would only be spendable at like the grocery stores that they run and other things that they run, but could also be transferred. It was there were a couple of kooky pieces to it.
Sounds dystopian as fuck.
Yeah, that part I'm not a fan of. But
I mean, I'm also not, but I guess again, when you say that that's going to be completely separate from any of the actual quote unquote like ruling class, and that this is just a fully separate thing that at least gets to start from square one on the like entrenched bureaucracy, I could see it working temporarily. 20, 30 years, it could run in a pretty decent way until it obviously inevitably gets corrupted. But it's a cool kind of scheme. I would love to see it in a city like Syracuse, New York, or like Manchester, New Hampshire, a city of like 100 to 200,000 people. I think a system like that could be test run in a really cool way. But it would never have worked for New York City.
Let's be honest though, like the big problem with government isn't even government itself. It's the fact that there's no incentive to deliver on what they say they're going to do.
Right.
Like turning it public rips away all the incentive. And I guess that's like the anarcho-capitalist argument, is that by opening up the market, you're actually introducing incentive and competition, which will be able to hold these institutions accountable. And I think that's just the biggest argument, because all humans work off of incentive. Like there's you have to get something from it. That's why we go to work. That's why we do all these things. That's why communism can't work, because there's no incentive for me to actually share everything. There's no incentive for me to actually work hard if I get paid the same amount as somebody else working twice as hard.
Yeah. Yeah, and if I recall correct, this was I want to say the 2017 election that he ran. So there's really good,
pretty innovative for that time.
Yeah, he did an episode on the Sharp Way with Larry Sharp back while he was running. Michael Tolkien is his name. If anybody watching wants to go look, I would highly recommend watching that episode, because Larry asks a lot of good questions, and they kind of they get down to some of the really cool ideas. But I recall him coming at it from a fairly libertarian side of things. So the idea wasn't that everyone was living off of these like smart cities run grocery stores. It was just that the few people that were still on welfare, after we were able to fix and gut most of the government by splitting up, the necessities go here, the courts and the judicial system go there, everything else gets gutted, that there wouldn't be that many people on these welfare programs, type of an argument. And as a combat to like, well, if we just give out UBI, they're just going to go spend it on drugs. It's like, no, we're going to do a special kind of UBI that can only be spent in like the stores that are
be able
like,
to program it.
Yeah. So it was definitely not like it wasn't a communist kind of utopian thing. It was definitely more a like left libertarian with some quirks and some control to pacify it and make it a little bit more palatable of a pitch. But it's still, yeah, like you said, fairly innovative for when he was running. Obviously, this was like before Yang ran, before UBI was really like a big thing, before a lot of this kind of stuff has become more mainstream conversation. It was a cool idea for sure. I don't even remember how I got off on that spin, but
if I randomly drop out of this, it's because my phone died. So just heads up.
All right. Well, we will miss you dearly. That's for sure. Let's refresh the election results real quick. See if there's any updates. But yeah, I think I will say again, I think that we could do some really fun, quirky, cool shit in like some of these smaller cities. If we were able to somehow weasel a libertarian in as like mayor of, well, obviously Harrisburg is a bad example because the capital, but somewhere the size of Harrisburg, or like Sandy, Utah, right? Like just like not Salt Lake City, but just like get the mayor of Sandy to do some cool shit. I don't know what the
I think Lancaster, Pennsylvania would be the perfect city to do that if we're talking Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that's a good answer. That's way better
There
than Harrisburg.
I mean, the libertarian like presence in that part of the state is surprisingly huge. Like there is more than one like part of Lancaster that you'll drive through and see like dozens of like libertarian candidate stickers like slapped all over like the side of a bridge or like a sign or something. Like there's a lot of that here. I heard Ron Paul apparently did exceptionally well in Lancaster when he was running. So I guess there's a lot of that energy left over. And I think Lancaster is like a small enough city with enough like anti-authoritarian sentiment there that if you wanted to run a third-party mayoral campaign, I think that would be a good place to do it. But you shouldn't do that. The Libertarian Party should dissolve, and all libertarians should join the Republican Party if they want to be politically active.
And again,
yeah, that sounds like a terrible idea.
So I thought you would say that.
So I will say, as far as like running a third party, so I'll half agree with you. Honestly, I think party politics is a scam in general, and I think that the Libertarian Party means well, but I think that there's just inevitable shit that's going to come out of partisan politics. So, the closest decent sized city to me is Syracuse, New York. It's a city of about 140,000 people, and in 2019 or 2021, one of those 2 years, they ran a 5-way race for mayor of Syracuse. They had Democrat, Republican, Green, Libertarian, and Independent. And the Independent won with 56% of the vote. Just absolutely creamed the other 4 into oblivion. And I'll give 2 caveats. The dude worked for the former Democratic mayor for about 5 years leading up to it, as like the head of a committee, and he is the son and grandson of former state chairs of the Republican caucus or like party. So he was deeply connected to both parties, not like completely disconnected from all parties. But we offered him our line, the Libertarian Party, and he was like, "Nope, I've never joined a party, and I never will." Because he was like raised in a house where his dad was like a congressman and the chair of the state party, and he turned 18, and everyone just expected him to like register Republican and do the thing, and he never registered, and he just like kind of stuck with that. And I think messages like that are going to start resonating really hard with people. Like the RFK types are going to start resonating really hard with people of the just, they're all a joke, fuck them all.
And see, that's kind of where I'm at these days. I think a lot of that could be taken care of if we didn't allow what political party somebody is on the ballot. Just names. That's it. No affiliation. Technically, just make every race nonpartisan.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would help a lot because most people wait until they get their ballot to even look at who's running. But I'm also on the thought process of like there is no political solution. Let's just exit the system and build our own like parallel economy. Like I'm just like I don't want to be a part of this system anyways. Like I don't want to have a libertarian join this organization because I came into this whole movement realizing that like politics is just screwed up. It's like the system's rigged and everything's all fake. So why would we want to be a part of that? Let's just do what the Constitution says. Dismantle what we can dismantle peacefully, of course, anyone listening, and reestablish what we see fit. Yeah, just for the sake of some glowies that might be listening. But let's just build our own thing because inside their system, we're always going to lose.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. That's why.
Wait, so then why are you a state organizer? Did you say you're a state organizer for the LP or the Mises Caucus? Or
Mises Caucus, and I'm also communications director for my state LP, my state LP party, and I'm also chair of my county affiliate.
Gotcha. Okay. So if you think that like it's like all a waste of time, then why are you involved with the LP?
For the same reason I still vote, because I believe it's ground that we have and we shouldn't give it up, no matter how pointless it is. So because I can still turn around and put on paper that I don't support any of the big parties, and it might be a small victory in my eyes, but nonetheless, there's an official document somewhere stating that I don't support the official parties. And like I said, it's stupid. I do think it is pointless especially like on a federal level. Like there's just no point on a federal level. Local level, there's still a point. You can still affect change in your local communities, but you've got to have the money and the backing to do it. But ultimately, I just think like we're so far gone at this point, especially, you know, being involved in politics in my state. You know, we're just so far gone that it would be easier to like just completely reinvent the wheel at this point. You know, come up with our own utility companies, our own, you know, utility structure and everything. I just believe that it would genuinely be easier to do that than change it from the inside. Also, the cool thing about the LP is I'm connected to, well, people like you and everyone watching and everyone that will watch this later. It does give me access to people who are also fed up with this system. And so I can spread radical beliefs of, you know, radical privacy and free speech absolutism and all of these other ideas. I can spread it to people who actually want to hear it.
How does the Libertarian Party give you that mechanism in a way that like running or being part of the Republican Party or being independent would? Like what's special about the Libertarian Party in that way?
What's interesting was, so being independent, I mean, there is no structure. There's no independent party. There's nothing really going on. Like anyone can be an independent, and there's no structure. There's no infrastructure to be able to build that off of.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Being a Republican, the issue I have with that is just like they're part of the legacy, the two legacy parties. And so there's already so much control. Like if I came in, I could play ball, but then I'm compromising my beliefs at that point. And so it defeats the purpose of me being involved in the first place. But just like the person who was running for Congress here in Utah, his name is Brad Green, awesome guy. Interviewed him on my show. He broke down exactly like how corrupt it is that the party here, the Utah GOP, basically ignores everything the voters say and then just go with what the establishment wants.
Mm-hmm.
And yet there are people that still vote for him, which in my eyes is crazy. They keep giving you the thing that you don't want, but you hate Democrats so much that you continue to vote for the very thing that you're trying to fight against. Like our governor, Governor Spencer Cox, he's a Democrat through and through. But he ran as Republican and he's party backed. All the Republicans can't stand him, but because he has the Republican name, they go for him. And it's like, there's no way I could spread the actual message of liberty in there and actually get anywhere. Everyone would agree with me, but then all of a sudden turn around and support, foreign aid to Israel or Ukraine or whatever country. They're all the same at this point. But being able to get to the libertarian activists and even the actual liberty leaning politicians, because I've been able to be in a position where I get the ears of people who are actually interested in liberty by being involved in this movement. So I'm just close enough, but I'm just far enough away.
Yeah.
So the problem that the Libertarian Party, what I'm getting from you is that the problem that the Libertarian Party solves is that you're in an organization where you don't have to compromise your beliefs. while trying to achieve, I guess, some of the same goals as the other parties are, as in like, getting elected into office, getting
and
donations.
I've ran for office too, so and if that was a viable option, like if I did win the race that I ran for, then I would have taken it seriously. Of course, I would have been fairly radical and tried to introduce like sunset clauses into bills. Like it either worked and therefore it's no longer needed, or it failed and it's also therefore no longer needed. So, some of these laws need to go away, or some of this funding needs to stop being funded. So, there would have been things I would have done, taken it seriously. Because like I said, locally, you can still affect things, which is why I got involved with the Mises Caucus. But I think that there's a better chance of working outside the system and doing things on a community basis. So I could take things, I can work with local farmers here. I can get my food from local farmers. I can create a economic system with them and other members of my community. And, this is hypothetical for any Fed listening, but we can work on a system and work outside of anything like that to be able to foster the community that has been lost over time. So, I mean, it just gives me a platform to be able to introduce people. Also, I love arguing with legacy party members. And they're like, oh, well, you just voted for Donald Trump. No, I didn't. I love being able to pull the third party and, so there's a lot of reasons. Also, the biggest reason, I still want things to change peacefully, if at all possible. Like that's my number one thing. And I will try every option. I will ride this thing until the wheels fall off, because I want things to change peacefully, if at all possible.
I'm about to, I think, clock out of work, and then I might hop on again in a few minutes, but I want to leave off by saying this. What you're saying is you can't operate within the GOP because there's all these ways in which they would suppress you and your message, and you'd have to compromise your beliefs and all this and that. I don't know if I agree that you would necessarily have to compromise your beliefs. There's a few examples of some pretty darn good, at least close to libertarian folks, having some success in the GOP, like obviously like Thomas Massey and Justin Amash and Ron Paul. But when you're working for the Mises Caucus, so you clearly care a little bit about like working within politics and not just the kind of agorist or agorist adjacent stuff you were talking about earlier. So when you're working within a third party, you're just like, it's like all the problems you were talking about with operating within the GOP times 10. It's like 10 times easier for the establishment to suppress you when you're running as a third party. When you're operating within one of the major two parties, sure, you got to compromise. But if you care about working within politics a little bit, and you have like political goals you want to achieve that are very libertarian, it's clearly like the best way to do that is to do that through the GOP. At least you're going to have a bigger platform than you would under a third party. People are going to disagree with you a lot, but a lot of people with strong libertarian leanings and constitutionalist leanings are going to see you at least as an ally, and they're not going to be immediately hostile to the ideas that you're spreading. Obviously that'll depend on like your rhetoric and your approach and all that. But I was a volunteer for the Libertarian Party for like 6 years. And I was a Mises Caucus organizer for a little bit at one point too. But we just, never won elections. And we got really hyped up for a lot of candidates that never went anywhere. And it was just disappointment after disappointment after underachievement after underachievement.
I'm an anarchist. The system's rigged and it's fucked.
Exactly. I'm an anarchist.
That's why
too.
I don't want to be a part of it. It's like, why are we trying to win a position in that?
But then why are you wasting time in the Libertarian Party? Why are you not like a hardcore agorist?
How many agorist groups do we have?
It's a great question. I'm not really an agorist. I don't know.
I mean,
there's
there's agorist markets, and granted, I am a part of those. So I even sell my services on agorist markets, but it leads me to it is a platform, for better or for worse. It is a platform that already exists, and I can find anybody within that platform. Now, one thing I can say is that the state party here runs a lot different than most places. We've never had the confrontation that the other states have. So whether it was Mises, anti-Mises, or anyone in between or on either side of that, we just don't have that here. Exactly why it happened that way, I can't really explain why, other than the fact that we just want to get stuff done. We want to influence public opinion. And also that's why I lend my work to there's another group, the Utah Freedom Coalition, and there's also the Utah Tech Ethics Board, which I help do work for as well, with crypto, CBDCs, all of that stuff, all of the blockchain stuff. The reason why is because I will take any avenue to be able to reach the end goal. And I have worked with GOP members before, so there has been crossover. The reason I'm opposed to actually working within the GOP as a GOP member is because we have a track record showing that in working with either one of these parties, that's what's led this country to where it is right now. And there's been a lot better people than me working inside the system and haven't been able to change it. So I'm not saying that it can't be done, but I'm not the person to be able to do it.
I want to throw
real quick. I do have to get going.
All right.
Goodbye, guys. Yeah, Jacob, nice meeting you.
Yeah, you as well.
Great conversation. I might hop back on later and argue with you some more. But I'll definitely go follow you on Twitter.
Yeah, word.
All
right, take care, guys.
As you should, and as should everyone else. Follow Jacob over here. Rise to Liberty, right?
Yep.
Okay. It's very small, and I did that like second guessing thing. Also, go follow Ben Archist. That was Mr. Ben Heckman that just hopped off. And if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, just click the link. Come on over and watch this on Rumble. That's where all the fun is happening. If you are watching over on Rumble, go ahead and give yourself a homeschooler high five, right, like that. That's what we call that here. And then click the follow button, because Fite Club as a channel doesn't have that many followers on Rumble yet. This is only the second stream we've done on here, and so definitely make sure you're clicking that follow. I need 10 followers on the account to get like an actual URL that says Fite Club. So click that button. If everyone watching right now clicked it right now, then I'm there, and I can actually have Rumble/Fite Club as a thing. So do that. And then definitely check out The Taste of Freedom, the official spirit of 1776. Let us tyrants wine. There's a link in the description and a link in the chat. Click it and grab some cool stuff. And again, promo code FSM gets you 10% off. We're here still with Rise to Liberty, Mr. Jacob, out of Utah. I've pulled up a few more elections here. Unfortunately, none of them are giving us good news. We have Mises Caucus / Libertarian Party endorsed Craig Caldwell, even though it says Free People here. This is a libertarian guy. He's actually a great libertarian guy, active member of the LPNY. I didn't realize he was running until I saw the Mises Caucus endorsement. So good on them for at least pushing some of these people out. He is at 25%, which again is not actually that terrible in a 3-way race.
Yeah, good for him.
We also ran someone for mayor of Charlotte, North Carolina, who's pulling 5%, a good 4,062 votes. With 100% reporting, that's just about done and over with. And the Democrats won that one fairly easily. We also ran another small, tiny little town in New York. I was hoping that the success of that one election might transfer over into some of the other New Yorkers, so I started digging into it. It doesn't look like it so far. We got 13.96% for Town of Royalton City Council. Wendy Sabo, I believe, maybe is how you pronounce her name. Still, again, these are higher numbers than we ever are getting on even years. Like, I've done this type of a show a few times now, and I'm normally looking at 2 or 3. You know, I was watching, not to shit on him, but I was watching Chase Oliver's election returns, and that was a lot sadder than this, as far as numbers go. So good job, everyone. Clinton Coward, that one's finally been called, so he got 8% of the vote. We're just going to close that tab out. And nothing else has updated since the last time I went through. So we are still winning. Ava Town Supervisor. We might have 1 W out of all of the races that I've been following. But still no update on Miss Fensky out of Arvada, unfortunately. Still just, actually, I guess that was a little bit of an update. It went from 35 to 37% reporting. She took a tiny bit more of a lead, I believe. But yeah, it's still 36 to 63. I think it was just the points that shifted, so it's not a big difference. What did you run for?
I ran for the state legislature.
Nice.
So, yeah, it was
Y'all
good.
have a really pretty one of those. Like, the actual building is one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. I actually got, I think by the time everything was done, I got 12%. Which as a political nobody, I felt pretty proud of. You know, first time running, nobody knew who I was. So it was pretty good. I think if there would have been, like, if I would have had an actual campaign manager, there could have been a strategy for the win, because it was such a low voter turnout. Like we're talking less than 10,000 people, you know, all together. So
you ran it yourself?
Yeah. First time running, so it was a nightmare, obviously. But we did good. Made lots of connections, talked to lots of people, got on a few big shows, you know, got the message out there. So it was definitely a success, all things considered. At least I feel like. Plus we helped add to the list of libertarians running, which that cycle we had the most libertarians running that had ever ran in this state at a single time. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, and we had people at all levels, all the way from like school board all the way up to Congress. So yeah, it was good. It was really good.
If I could get up on my soapbox real quick.
Yeah.
I was just talking to, I had one of the first times I've ever spoken to the guy. I had an hour-long phone call with Michael Heiss last night. Was that just yesterday? Yeah, that was just yesterday. Last night. And I got up on my soapbox a little bit on that call too, because I'm invited. He'll be on the show 2 weeks from tomorrow, talking about what he's doing with the Wreck the Regime campaign as the campaign manager, and he kind of seemed taken aback when I said that I was having Brechtenwald on tomorrow. Like, why do you need both of us? Kind of. He didn't actually ask that, but it was definitely like he can answer all the same questions I'm going to answer about the campaign. But I told him, like, part of the thing that I have tried to do with the Fight for Liberty show especially is highlight campaign managers, comms directors, events directors, social media managers, all of these other things, because we glorify running for office way too much. And especially like the full, like as cool as it is to get a full slate, sometimes that seems to be the goal. And I would so much rather see on a ballot that's got 10 names on it that you only see 3 libertarians, but those 3 libertarians had full staffed, well-running campaigns. I would much rather see that than a full slate. And when somebody joins, not get told directly just either run for county chair or run for state house. Like, those are your options. It's like, no, there's so many.
Or start a podcast.
Or start a podcast. Or all 3. You're just trying to get libertarian bingo over here. But yeah, I really, really stress, like, if you don't have a campaign manager and a treasurer, don't run for office. That's my personal take. I think it's that's someone
Agreed.
who's done that. Like, I ran my whole campaign myself when I ran for New York City Council. It didn't go well. So yeah, don't do that if you can help it. Try to get some people around you, because I also think that it bears saying, if you can't find somebody to run your campaign, you're not going to find that many voters either.
Yep.
Like,
agreed.
If you can't sell somebody on hitching their wagon for 6 to 9 months to, like, helping you out just as a part-time volunteer, doesn't have to be a huge commitment, but somebody else that's making the other half of those decisions, then how are you you're not going to gain a whole town's trust.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's interesting. I've had this conversation as well. As I would much rather see, for instance, like my state party, I would rather see us pick one race and just go all in on one race. Like, it doesn't have to be a big one, but just that the party just goes in all in. Everybody puts all of their efforts and all of the resources all to just one race, and just see where it goes. I think instead of trying to, like, we're already spread too thin as is. And I do like the idea of seeing just L after L on the ballot, but also it doesn't mean anything if we're getting, anywhere from 5 to, I think the top we got was like 25%.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good. It's pretty good, but it's still an L on, in the grand scheme of things. So it's like, why don't we just pick one race, win that one race, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. I'm a big fan. I pitched this verbiage to the Prague Caucus back when I was their outreach director, of bookending the ballot. Basically, run somebody for the top position or 2 and the bottom position or 2 or 3. Have
interesting.
Have dog catcher or something. Especially if you live in a place where there are a bunch of people running unopposed or just empty fucking slots, like they find in Pennsylvania a lot. Find those, find the easy wins, and then governor. And like, fuck everything in between. None of that's worth your time. Either get all of the press and the publicity, or none of it and try to just sneak in, and then work together, so that governor candidate is campaigning mostly in the towns that we found decent candidates for those bottom level positions. Just decimate those towns with door knockers and everything, and we'll see huge pockets for I think that would see a huge spike in numbers for gubernatorial candidates from tradition as well, because you would see an entire town fucking come out and force for this one mayor or something.
Yeah.
And win that because you had like a Larry Sharp or fuck, why do I always space on his name? The guy from Arkansas, Ricky Dale Harrington.
Yeah.
You know, like if you've got a good statewide like that, that can just come in and convince an entire town that libertarianism is the way to go, and boom, now you got 2-3 city councilmen, you flip the whole city council.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I think that would definitely work in a lot more places than like what's that strategy of only going for all the low positions, all the positions
the
running
Molten maneuver.
Yeah, the Molten maneuver. That can only work in very certain locations, whereas I think what you're talking about could have a more broad application to it.
Yeah, the Molten maneuver is something that even PA is pretty honest about that. That's a pretty PA specific thing. That most states, they just have a lot more elected positions than a lot of other states. A lot of states, what they're using the Molten maneuver to do would just be an appointed position by your mayor or your like county supervisor or whatever.
And that's mostly how it is here. Is most of these positions are appointed, so, or they just don't exist.
Yeah.
So, or like we have some, like our dog catchers here, at least in my county, they're just like a normal job, like you apply for them.
Yeah.
So
I have no idea what that is in my count. Like, is that like animal control, I guess?
Yeah, that's what it is over here, is animal control.
Yeah, you don't get elected to animal control.
Yeah,
that would be weird.
You just apply for it. It's a job. It's a city job. So yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. I would like. Here's the thing I deal with here. Mainly dealing with Republicans, like we're actually more of a purple state than people want to believe. We have a lot of infiltrators. Like I said, our governor, he's Democrat through and through. Like he's suing TikTok right now because apparently, it's bad for kids, and won't somebody please think of the children? Let me clutch my pearls. And his thought process on it is like, okay, let's let's give them more data. So he wants to do this whole, like, you have to upload your ID to be able to use TikTok. And it's like, well, if they're causing all of this harm and stuff, you don't give them more data. Like,
right.
That's ridiculous. But so we mainly work with Republicans here.
Porn too?
Yeah, well, it's so you have to upload your ID to be able to view porn if you're 18 years or older. And of course there's ways around it, like VPNs or whatever, but
so you actually have to like make a Pornhub account, right?
Yes. Yeah. If you use the internet with like no safeguards and literally just like Google Pornhub and then like go on with just like your full open browser, like no security at all, then yeah, it will pull up and it says like in the state of Utah, and it has like the whole law up front and all of this stuff. It's ridiculous. Obviously it does nothing. Kids still see it.
Of course. You're just teaching kids how to use VPNs at a younger age.
Yeah, kids are a lot smarter than government. Imagine that. But what I deal with from like the Republicans mainly, it's like, well, if I don't vote Republican, then Democrats win. Or it's always like, if none of this matters, then like why should I vote third party because you guys aren't winning elections? That's always the thing. And it's like, well, we're not, because you're still voting for the people giving you the thing that you don't want.
Right.
And then complaining about it.
Shocker.
Yeah, exactly.
Big
It's
shocker there.
it's a mess. It's a mess over here. Like, it looks simple from the outside, but once you start just, scratching the surface at all, it gets really messy, really convoluted real quick.
Yeah, I remember I was watching a Matt Rife like stand up, like crowd work kind of clip, and he was doing a show in Utah. I think it was Provo, and they were talking about it. He like made somebody like pull it up on their phone and show him because he didn't believe them that like, and he was just like, dude, if you have a Pornhub account, you need to just delete your life. Like, bro, like that's just a nope. That's a nope. That's when you know you've gone too far. And he did like a whole bit about how like that's like the ultimate like simp behavior. It was fucking great. But I was like, I couldn't imagine, like, at least, people talk mad shit about New York, but at least I can still watch porn just fine.
Yeah. It's interesting, and that came under a Republican governor under the whole, won't somebody please think of the children, and mind you, this was a state where we had a governor back in the 50s who refused to pay his income tax because, yeah, right. He refused to pay his income tax because he said that the feds have no right to charge citizens. And, that's what we're coming from. And like, we're now here. We just broke ground on the world's first 15-minute city right here in Utah. And, we have the World Economic Forum and the UN pushing a lot of digital ID and like one of our counties here, Utah County actually has marriage licenses on blockchain and birth certificates on blockchain and like a bunch of really dystopian stuff. And what's scary is like the lady pushing it too. She comes out and she talks about like, oh, how great will it be to get rid of the government and have everything on blockchain? And it's like, yeah, but then you take away the will of the people, which I'm not a democracy fan by any means, but now you're taking away the ability for people to actually like change government. And it is wild what they're trying to get done over here.
Yeah,
and it's all done by the Republicans, and everyone's like, our freedoms are disappearing. What's happening?
I'll play devil's advocate here real quick, because I feel like, especially the two things that you just said are things that, like, I wish the government wasn't a part of, but I've never necessarily had a big problem with the person at the government doing it. Like the people doing the birth certificates and the marriage licenses, your county clerks. I don't think that those are like very highly corrupted positions per se, but they're obsolete positions in my opinion in a lot of ways. And like I don't know, my county clerk runs unopposed every year. She worked in the county clerk's office until the old county clerk retired, and then she ran unopposed. And she's actually, I think the person I've been talking about all night isn't running this year. I think she actually retired a few years ago, just before I moved, or just after I moved out of this area when I was like 17. But like she worked there for my entire childhood, and like. So I feel like there's a few of those things that if you can put it under like a blockchain style control over it, that is kind of like an anarcho or like a weird kind of minarchist thing of like it's still government controlled, but it's as little government controlled as possible, and it's actually more the people controlled in real time, rather than the people controlled once every 2 to 5 years, So
and I do agree with you. So it's not the act of actually having marriage certificates and birth certificates on blockchain that's really the issue. It's the precedents that it's setting, for one, and for two, it's going to be a system that's controlled by the government. So it's much like setting up an exchange, like a crypto exchange. So not your keys, not your coins. So an exchange will hold on to your keys. So you might have access to your key or to your coins, your Bitcoin, your Ethereum, whatever you have, but they're still not yours because they're on an exchange. And that's what it's basically doing. Now, marriage licenses and birth certificates, I think it's a kind of a big deal, probably more so than most people. But what that's going to introduce is digital identification, which is a really big deal.
Right.
And so it's mainly just the opening of Pandora's box to get us desensitized to this. So once everything does switch over, and mind you, we do have a digital ID pilot program going right now.
Oh,
And
I'm aware.
Yeah.
I had
So-
Aaron Day on the show a couple months ago, and
Nice.
had that conversation in deep detail.
Yeah. So I don't like if it was just the birth certificates and stuff like that, like I would still have an issue with it, but it's more of like what they're trying to usher in under all of this, and they're like, oh, it's so great because of this and that, and it's like, okay, let's just take let's play I guess devil's advocate with just that. Okay, let's say if you're being honest and you're doing all of this, selflessly, and everything's all great. Well, what about the person that comes behind you? There's no guarantee that they're going to be moral and ethical. So once you introduce a system like this, that once it's established, once everyone's on this system, there's no going back. There's no going back to how things were. So even if the person introducing it is of the utmost morals and, acts completely selflessly, the person behind them might not be. And somewhere along the line, somebody is going to corrupt that system. And now there's no alternative and there's nothing that we can do about it. And that's the issue I have with it, is this is like a final decision. And they're also ushering all of this in without people even understanding like what blockchain is.
Yeah.
Like there's no state resources to teach people about this technology or anything. And that's partially why I think it's nefarious, is because, well, you should be teaching people about this if you're going to make it their lives.
But then they would actually know how to have control and say over their lives.
Exactly.
We don't want that.
Exactly. Then,
See,
there might be a revolution overnight.
Yeah, see, I think that like the blockchain idea for some of those things kind of negates the point that you just made, that I very much agree with, because you could, not saying that this is actually likely in the United States, well, I mean, maybe in your state more than any other state, you could have someone run for county clerk on a platform of, I'm going to burn all of the gay marriage licenses, nullify all of the gay marriages in this county. It's a sin. The county never should have let it happen. And the gas prices are going to level out in our county alone because God will repay us for not being a sinful county anymore, right? Like that's a thing that someone could actually genuinely run on and win on and do. If it's on the blockchain, it would be very difficult for them to actually go through and delete all of those somehow and like undo them. However, I very much agree with you that like digital ID and those types of things is a terrifying concept. Whether it's run by the government or a private company, it's a terrifying concept.
Well, it's just that there's no option to opt out, and that's what makes it scary.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. Like there is a lot of benefits, but that's why I think it's nefarious, is because they're leaning on all of these benefits. And I actually had a meeting with our state treasurer and his wife and his staffer to go in and teach them the benefits, but also just how blockchain works, what it is. And mind you, this is the state treasurer. He's been the treasurer for 18 or 19 years, and that like they're already voting on it, and everyone in government doesn't quite understand it. So there's an issue with that when they're passing legislation, when the people voting on it doesn't understand it. The public definitely doesn't understand it. Cato came out with a poll. It was like 18% of Americans support a CBDC, and so that's a tiny amount of people, and that they actually had a decent sample size of people. It was like I don't know. I don't even want to say
how they asked
but
that. Not to cut you off, but I'm curious if they.
I could actually send it to you.
Okay, because if somebody polled, let's say my parents, who are smarter than your average people, but
16% actually. But yeah, let me send this to you.
All right. Because if they just asked, like, do you support a central bank digital currency? I feel like most people would say that, no, that sounds terrifying. If they asked, do you support, and then explain what CBDC is in a semi-positive lighting, I feel like that number might go up. You know what I mean?
But I think it like what this points out is that most people don't even know what it is. And so I think if people understood what it is, you would probably see that number even drop. Because now all of a sudden we have a personal relationship with the Federal Reserve. Not to mention the fact that they can program it, which is absolutely terrifying. And so let's see, I actually have, because this is what I've been working on lately, is explaining like what a CBDC is and why it's so scary, what these people are talking about. Got to finish making that video after I'm done here with you. Let's see.
Yeah, so it says twice as many Americans oppose as support a CBDC, but most don't even know what it is. Yeah, that's a staggering percentage there.
Yeah. So it's one thing if people know, like I know informed consent, that has to do with typically medical stuff. However, I do believe that some sort of informed consent kind of applies, like the concept applies to politics in general, where it's in how can the population of any geographical location make a decision through voting if they don't even understand what they're voting on. And now my governor over here, he's like, well, TikTok is harming children, which I agree with that sentiment. I don't think it's just children. I think it's harming just our society as a whole. Just like, look at the difference between the way China uses it and the way we use it. Like we've got a bunch of degenerate shit on our side, and then over there, they're pushing like STEM subjects. Yeah. Not to say that you can't find that over here, but that's just not the main purpose.
Where have you ever seen a graph where it illustrates the Republicans as the most informed group? That's it's just, I find that very interesting that on that graph it's got 36% doesn't know in the Republicans versus the staggering majority in the other ones. I find that really fucking amusing. I don't know about you, but it goes to show. I mean, I guess they're talking about it on Fox News. Is that the answer? Is that just like there's the correct amount of? I don't want to say
I
fear mongering
think-
because I don't actually support the thing, but for lack of a better word, the fear mongering.
I do think it's part of that, but I also think because of COVID, Republicans are a lot more familiar with the World Economic Forum. And that's like one of the biggest organizations pushing this is those guys, like at least publicly pushing it. You know, there's so many people out there just saying the craziest of things. Let's see. I wonder if I can send this to you. This would be really interesting. Let me pull it up real quick. They're talking about, oh, come on, stupid computer. So it's from a World Economic Forum meeting, and they're talking about programming CBDCs. Let's see.
Yeah, see, okay, this is kind of what I'm talking about. Ooh, that did a weird thing. Like this poll was definitely. I would like to steelman the argument. I much prefer steelmanning polls than straw manning, which this is definitely a straw man poll, right?
Yeah,
because it keeps saying just central bank digital currency (CBDC). It really doesn't explain what that means until the fourth question, and even that it's saying, would you oppose it if it meant government could control what people spend their money on and when? Obviously, no. Like, these are all the kinds of things about that we know to be wrong about CBDC. But what I'm terrified of is that they're not going to call it that. It's not going to be the CBDC bill that passes through Congress. It's going to be 3 or 4 or 10 or 12 different bills and programs and different things and subcommittees that eventually end up with a government-controlled central bank digital currency.
Yeah,
So
well, and
I want to see a poll that shows me how many people would fall for it.
So that's exactly what's happening. So right now there's a system called FedNow that just launched in July of this year, and the biggest issue with it is like they came out and lied, and they were like, oh no, this has nothing to do with central banking digital currencies. And it's like, but it's literally like basically the way I understand it is it's the on-ramp platform and like the Federal Reserve's exchange. And so it's like that's how everyone's going to get their UBI or, you know, their food stamps or whatever. It's all going to come from the same thing. Now, my personal opinion, the way that it's going to be ushered in is likely how they have ushered it in other countries. India, all of a sudden, just one day people woke up and cash was illegal. But their version of the Fed rolled out a central banking digital currency, or I think it was Nigeria came out and said they limited how much money you could pull out of the ATM, you know, on a federal level, and they said you could only take like $20 out a day, or like $20 a week or something like that. But yet people over there live on like $30 a day, and so it was like they basically starved everyone until they signed up for it. And once you start thinking about like the possibilities of what they could be doing, the fact that they keep spending money, especially on foreign aid, makes a lot more sense. They're just going to keep devaluing, and just run the dollar into the dirt. And then all of a sudden they're going to have this saving grace. They're going to be like, well, here we go. You know, you could take this. And they're basically just going to leave people no other option, which
they're going to offer like a 3-to-1 transfer rate or something like that. Cash dollars to Fed coins. And everyone and their mom's going to sign up in a heartbeat.
Yep. And a hot take, I personally think it's going to be Bitcoin. So either that, or I mean, there's already a crypto that is tied to the US dollar. It's called Tether, for anyone who doesn't know. And it's like the value of Tether is directly tied to a US dollar. So one Tether is equal to one US Federal Reserve note. And so like it already does exist, and especially if there's no privacy built into the thing, then it's just like a credit card.
There's a couple of stable coins tied to the, because
Yeah.
like you've got like USD coin and that's like a whole genre.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
I don't know that much about crypto, so that was half a statement, half a question. I was like, I
Yes.
think I remember this from back when I actually like had a Coinbase account that I used.
Yeah. And here's the thing is like, just like with say like cell phone records or whatever, exchanges aren't owned by the Fed or anything, but they work in conjunction with the federal government, just like, you know, AT&T will hand over all your phone records if asked, you know. Same thing. And so like they're not the federal government, but they might as well be, because there's like no difference, and they're just so willing to work with them. And now, you know, like Elon Musk has even talked about turning Twitter into like a WeChat, you know, like the everything app. And anyone who doesn't know, WeChat it's a Chinese app that is basically the everything app. It's got like all your documents on it. It's got your banking information, and that's what people over there use to pay for their groceries. If they get stopped by the police and need to pull out their ID, that's what they pull up is their WeChat. It's also a communication app. It's social media. It's everything. So it's like if Facebook was tied to your bank account plus like your medical records, criminal records, whatever. It's the everything app. And so, I mean,
I've got a hot take for it. Or sorry.
Oh yeah, yeah. Let's.
Do you think Mark Zuckerberg is a bait and switch for Elon Musk?
Ooh, interesting.
Zuckerberg's the like clearly evil one.
Yeah.
That suggests all of these stupid things like the metaverse.
Yeah.
But then Elon could go and build something exactly like the metaverse, and everybody would be like, "Oh, this is the anti-metaverse, so we're gonna actually join it."
Yeah. I do think there is a part of that is true.
He scares
because
me. He scares me more than almost anyone else.
I agree because he garners such support from anyone who is just like anti-globalist or anything like that. But he said some things that really make me wonder what his motives are. Like, I mean, he was on Joe Rogan recently talking about like why he bought Twitter
Good
or
episode.
whatever. And
that pizza made me so fucking hungry. Did you watch it? Because they got that pizza, and I was just sitting there. I was just like, man, I want some fucking good pizza. I wish I still lived in New York City, man.
Right. And it's just crazy because I don't think he's lying. But I also don't think he's telling the truth, if that makes sense. Like there's just something about him that I don't trust, and the brain implant thing freaks me out.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw a video the other day of like it was giving somebody that had lost the ability to walk, that they were able to walk again. And that is amazing. And I love that. And I wish that that's what that technology was going to be used for. But I know that it's not. Like it will be. It will definitely be used for those sorts of things. But that's not what it's all going to be used for. And inevitably it's going to be used against people. And people with a lot more power and a lot more ability, a lot more money are going to be able to do these things. And it's going to be negative because I think like once you get up to this upper echelon, you get so removed from normal people that you kind of go crazy. Like that's why like Bill Gates is for one so weird, and like he thinks he has like this divine right to be able to say the earth is overpopulated and only he can save it and stuff. And it's like, no, you're no better than anyone else. You got a large bank account. That's the only difference.
Yeah. To bring this conversation full circle a little bit, go back to Ohio election results and the cannabis ballot initiative that it's at 92% reporting, still at 56% for. Oh, here, let me share my screen with you too. Boom. I finally figured out, like 2 hours into the stream, how to actually make it to where the show and you are both seeing this one screen and nothing looks fucky. But yeah, so this is definitely a win. And I did support this. I publicly endorsed voting for issue 2 in Ohio and encouraged. I have a lot of friends and weirdly a lot of followers on social media, especially TikTok. I talk a lot about Ohio politics because my sister lives there. And so I have this weirdly large following in Ohio on TikTok, which is really fun. But it specifically created basically a registry of everyone that ever buys recreational cannabis in the state of Ohio. And it specifically doesn't stop another state department from using that list for something else.
Yeah.
That was my biggest issue with it.
But that's usually how they do those things. Is they're like, oh, we'll give you weed, but
yeah, it specifically doesn't yet tie it to anything else. So it
leaves it open.
It leaves it open. A bunch of states like in this ballot initiative would have had the like gun rights stripping right straight in there. There's been a couple of states that have passed it as is, just like that. And we are talking Ohio, so maybe they're not that dumb. We'll see. It's gonna be about a year to like 18 months before we have a solid answer on what the regulations there actually end up looking like.
Yeah.
Let's see. I don't think no other changes in results. I'm very surprised at how low or like how slow the Forest Mommy votes are. Unless the total percentage is just going to be somewhere in the 40s, because that does kind of make sense. That is a thing that we see.
Yeah.
And in which case that one's pretty much over, and she did not win.
It's unfortunate. She got quite a few votes, though.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Yeah, that shit's not easy, dude.
No, and honestly, I recommend anyone who's never ran for public office, even if you don't take it seriously, although take it seriously if you do, but just go through the process of just like registering and trying to get your name out there and just like all of these other things. It changes your perspective on all of it. Like actually doing the thing has it was kind of black pilling in a sense, but also kind of white pilling. But it also made me realize the actual challenge that we're up against, how difficult this is actually going to be to change things.
Yeah. We throw around the term touch grass a lot on the internet, and I think running for office, unless you don't, there's plenty of people in the LP that don't touch grass even the entire time they run for office. They think that they can campaign from a Facebook page and a podcast, which isn't a thing, for the record. Anybody watching thinks that that's a thing. It's not. Like, it's one of the best parts about running for office, in my opinion, is you have to touch grass. You have to be with other humans. You have to, like, I was standing outside of the subway stop that I go to every day for work, every day after work, just handing out a little card that said fight for New York City.
Hell yeah.
Vote for David, he'll fight for you, or something like that. I don't.
Yeah.
Something Brianna Coyle made up because she's great like that. And just talking to like these fucking 65-year-old grandmas who are on their way to get groceries or whatnot with their grandkids, and what are you doing out here, young man? Like, they loved the fact that because I worked in finance, so I wore a suit to work every day, so I didn't have to like change or anything, which was great. So they loved the fact that there was some 22-year-old kid standing outside in a suit and tie, buttoned up, tie bar, pocket square, like actually looking good. Like, oh, I like your suit. Where'd you get that? It's great. I loved it. It was one of the best experiences of my life. Like, I got my ass handed to me, dude. I got third in the 3-way race. It was a Democrat, fucking random third party that doesn't actually exist, and me. I got 3%. He got 6%, and she got 91%.
Yeah, pretty thorough ass kicking.
Oh yeah. Black female Democrat in Flatbush, Brooklyn, endorsed by all the progressive like things and all the police unions.
Oh yeah. That was
fucked.
destined to lose.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's a whole different thing, man. Like running for office, it's no joke. And I see why people don't do it.
Yeah.
It like you practically have to do nothing else. That's it, you know? And even for a small race, we had a candidate over here who was running for school board in Davis County, which, man, that county has, some Fed presence. Like we've got in the school system itself, there is Department of Homeland Security. They came in and set up shop due to a racist incident that ended up happening.
Gay?
Yeah, it's faking gay for sure. Not saying that, whatever for whatever, I don't know, but Department of Homeland Security has no fucking place in a county. And apparently this happened in one other county in Texas. Well, they ran them out of the county. They never let them set up shop, but they took up shop here. And so one of our endorsed candidates was running, and she had a great campaign. She came in, did everything right and everything, and still lost out. Had the endorsements, had decent amount of money and everything, still lost. Like it's just crazy. Running for office or being on that side, like working for campaigns or anything like that, it can even appear that everything's right, everything's going the way that you want it to, and then come election day, it swings a certain way.
Yeah. I really thought Larry Sharp was going to do better than he did in 2018. I was there at his election night party, actually. One of that will go down in history as one of my best favorite moments in my political career. Because I wasn't important on the campaign at all at that time, but I was just important enough in the last week that I got the invite because I spent all of election day with his campaign manager and his New York City director. We literally, because we had a bunch of shirts left over, and so election day came around, and we were like, these shirts are basically useless tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right. So we just went around to all of the places in downtown Manhattan that we knew that there would be a bunch of homeless people, and we were like, hey, free shirt if you promise to put it on right now.
Yeah. Nice.
And then we just set up shop in Union Square, just handing out t-shirts. We're just hey, free t-shirts, vote Larry Sharp, Libertarian for governor. And it was great. It was an amazing day. And then I met up with my girlfriend and we went up to deep North Bronx. Like, holy shit, were we up there? But it was a great party. Got to meet like Larry's wife and like the whole kind of crew and a bunch of people that I now consider like really good friends. That was the first time I actually got to meet them in person.
Yeah.
But like, we really thought that we were gonna do something crazy that year.
Yeah.
But what really bit us in the ass was one poll came out about 10 days before the election that had the Republican like 4 points behind the Democrat.
Yeah.
In New York. Bullshit. It's a lie. No. He ended up 12 points behind Cuomo in the end. But all of the people who were like, there's no way the Republicans can win, I might as well vote Larry, found out just over a week before the election. They were like, oh my God, wait, there's actually a chance.
Yeah.
And of course, that poll was also one of the few that included Larry. And as weird as this is to say, I think the poll inflated his numbers on purpose a little bit.
Interesting.
To make it seem like it was the people who were voting Larry and not Molinaro that were going to be the difference.
Weird.
And that like the Democrats weren't going to like actually didn't have a majority of the state somehow. Cuomo got, I think, 68% of the vote. Like they had a majority of the state. They always have, or they have for over a decade now. But this one fucking random bogus poll came out and had them neck and neck. And it was just like, we had no shot past that. But yeah, it is definitely, it's a get your hopes up and then meh, and then get your hopes up and then eh. But I don't know. We've seen a couple of wins here and there, and I think I think what you said when Ben was kind of picking on you earlier for me about like there being an infrastructure being built in the process. That's a big reason why I stuck with the party as long as I did. In New York, there really just isn't one being built. So as long as I'm here, meh. If I do end up moving to Texas or another party that's actually doing stuff, then I might change how much time and effort I put into the party. But that's why I was a pragmatist. Like, I joined the Pragmatic Caucus because they were the ones that wanted to build the database, the CRM, the like a system to compile the data and run donations and all this other stuff. They wanted to streamline all of this stuff and really just focus on winning and building an infrastructure of winning. They never really got around to doing much of that at all because they were only there for 2 years. But that's what really got me hooked on being a big member of the party, was this idea of it's not about this year's election. It's about how many people can you get fired up for next year's election? How many people can you turn into knowledgeable volunteers instead of, ooh, what can I do? Volunteers. How many people can you get that go? You know, you just, every year you move a chunk of people further down a sales pipeline. It's a very wide funnel, and it's a sales funnel, and it moves slower than any sales funnel in the fucking world because it moves just a little bit once a year. But you have to manage it like a sales funnel. And, you know, the people whose doors you knocked on and they slammed in your face, you still knock on them one more time in 2 years, you know? And you have to know, did they say, oh, you're a bunch of pedos and slam the face? Or did they say, we need to ban guns, fuck your constitutional rights, and slam your face? Because one, if you send the right kind of a person back, you really easily change that conversation if you have like one of those really nice family man type candidates knocking on the door with his wife and his like 7-year-old daughter, and it's like, hey ma'am, how are you doing today? Like, she's not going to do the same. Like, if you or I knock on her door, I wouldn't blame her. But like,
Yeah.
if Larry
Yeah.
and his wife knock on her door, they're not gonna. Oh, you're a bunch of racists. It's like, this is a Mexican woman and a black man standing in front of you. Are you stupid? I don't know if she's actually Mexican. I just know that she's Hispanic. But yeah, it's there's ways to, but you have to document that, and you have to have a place to document that, and that's something that the party just has never really focused on. The thing that bothers me the most about that is that we are a bunch of fucking nerds. If there's anything we should be doing, it's that.
Spreadsheets up the ass.
Fucking hell, right? I have the amount of Airtable bases that I have built in my lifetime is more than my business partner hates me for it. He hates Airtable and he hates that I use it. He's been trying to convince me to move to Trello since we started the company. And I love Airtable. I built us an entire fully functioning CRM out of an Airtable that has like an embedded like form on our website that if you fill it out, it goes right into the Airtable base as a contact and instantly creates an opportunity for that contact. And whatever they put in as the reason that they wanted you to reach out, that's like the temporary name of that opportunity. And then you can move them down through. It keeps track of all of our affiliate partners and all of our like actual company partners, the couple of people like that we have like as independent contractors. All of that's in a fucking Airtable base that I built. I could build a CRM in an Airtable base that at least would be better than the fucking Google spreadsheets that I get sent from LPNY every year.
Yeah.
Like, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, that's been kind of my challenge. So like as the communications director for Utah, I don't think the previous party leadership never saw what the importance of the internet was going to be. And so it just was never focused on the way that it should have been. And so now there's like a whole lot of catching up to do that like we have to do in this state, and like trying to get everything all together. Like I ended up creating this document, and this will probably be good for the rest of this year and probably next year, but I'll have to send it to you. It's pretty interesting. It's the best times to post on social media, and it's like broken down by the minute. Like the best times, day or night. And it's broken down on 4 different platforms because, like each different platform has a different purpose, a different audience, a different way to write the post or anything like that. And there's just like so much stuff that is missing on so many levels. And I know that that's not just like my state, but it's like every state. And that's like one of the big things why the Libertarian Party doesn't succeed. I believe it's that, but also libertarians have a hard time putting people in the right positions for what they excel at.
Yes.
Like, and then kind of like what you and Roger were talking about, it's like when people show up, they want something to do. They need to feel wanted. And there's a whole lot of people just not doing anything because they treat it as more of a social club.
Yeah.
And like I've talked to people in other state affiliates, and like that's all they have. It's like it's just like we get together once a month to have dinner and
talk shit about the government.
Yeah. Which
you
mind
still
you
need to
is
do.
great.
Yeah, you still need to do that.
Yes.
All of this, everything that we've said is on top of still spending one day to not talk about work, not talk about the things, maybe talk about the things and then like in the same night. Like that's usually the way to do it. But you have to have at least 1 hour a month where your county party is drinking alcohol and talking shit about the government.
Yeah, agreed. 100%. Like it's so needed. Like I mean that's how the American Revolution was planned, right?
Every great revolution was planned in a pub.
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if the LP is ever going to be successful by any sort of modern political party metric. And I'm definitely not interested in doing much on a national scale, as I view national politics as a complete waste of time. But on a state level, I don't think I'll ever not be involved. It's like I would much rather try and fail than just not try at all,
That's valid.
I have a thorough belief that black pills are a government psyop. Because if they can spread hopelessness and nihilism, then that squashes any sort of resistance before it even begins. And so no matter what, I'm going to tell everyone that black pills are a government psyop and to not believe that and still hold out hope and just do whatever you can, even if it's talking to your family at the dinner table. Do something. Just do something. Although, tell me what you think about this. My personal opinion is that at least, outside of the classic politicking, ballot access, whatever, I think the number one job for the LP itself should be debunking government propaganda.
I think the number one role of the liberty movement could be debunking liberty propaganda. I think the number one goal of the Libertarian Party should be winning elections. I think that anything that you can do without it having to fall under electoral politics should be done outside of electoral politics. And only if you have to, which is running for office, then you step into the ring of FEC bullshit and Board of Elections bullshit and all of that other stuff. If you can do it outside of that, if you can do it in a C3, or if it has to be a C4, or you could do it as an LLC or a C Corp or something like that, do it like that. Which is why I do most of my work either through You Are the Power or Free Speech Media Corp or a similar nonprofit like that. Because if you can avoid jumping through those hoops, I always advocate for doing so.
I would actually agree with that. It's just like we have this huge network of liberty people, and it just in so many ways it seems like it's being squandered.
I agree. It's one of the things that I liked about. So I think that the Mises Caucus had a cool objective, but the wrong target. Personally, I think that we didn't need a takeover of the party. We needed the Liberty Movement and the Libertarian Party to sit down and actually start working together. I don't think the people who really wanted to just go ham on Twitter and podcasts and stuff like that, they never should have joined the party. I was just talking to Reed Coverdale on the phone yesterday, and I told him, you never should have joined the party. People like you shouldn't join the party. And he was like, yeah, no, I should never have joined the party. That was really dumb of me. I think that the biggest fault of the Mises Caucus was lying to people like him and saying that he actually belonged in the electoral politics system, because it just makes no sense.
I agree.
But the people who were in charge, even I am always very loud about making a distinction between the Nick Sarwark administration and then the actual Pragmatic Caucus administration, because those were two different things.
Agreed.
But both kind of failed to realize what you were just talking about, is that we had this going on in the ether, that if it could be corralled and worked together and more of a machine that was symbiotic, we could actually accomplish some shit. Because there were a lot of...
I actually agree.
Because, whether they wanted to or not, people like Dave Smith and Tom Woods were handing out a lot of black pills to people because there would have been a lot of people. Luckily, I found it through Gary Johnson. I went right into the party before I knew who either of those people were. But somebody that just watched like Tom Woods' show for 20 years and was like, I want to vote someone into office. Who's doing that? Nobody? Nobody? Really? Nobody? Okay. and like that's like you're saying, that's a squandering of a valuable resource. But again, I don't think that like, and luckily to his credit, he never did. But like Tom Woods also doesn't belong he shouldn't be his county chair. That's just dumb. But
like I said, once again, like putting people in the right position to where they're going to excel at. Most people, I would agree, probably don't belong on the actual politicking side, the actual nitty gritty with like, bylaws and constitutions and stuff like that. Not everyone needs to be a messenger. Not everyone needs to be the face. Not everyone needs to be knocking on doors. Some people, I've seen some of you libertarians out there, and you have a face for radio, so you should probably be making phone calls instead. It's just like sticking people in the right position. But I do agree. So I guess that's kind of like the Justin Amash thing, where it's like the party should be focusing on like the politicking, and the activists should be focusing on the activism.
Yeah, I very much agreed with what Justin, with the spirit of what Justin was saying there. I didn't agree with some of the words that he said, but I definitely agreed with the sentiment. And seamless transition to show our sponsors a little bit of love. If you want to start a C3, C4, LLC, or C Corp to do some libertarianing out in the real world, go to crafton.us or click the link in the description or the chat and fill out that wonderful form over there and get it on over to us, and we will get to you and help you do that thing. Go do that, because I really think that's where the real fun's at. That's where the action's at. So, if you want to be involved in the party and the party politicking, all power to you. But if you want to, lobby your state legislature for something, you can't in most states do that from the party. You have to be an LLC or a C Corp registered as a lobbyist organization with your state Department of State, or Secretary of State, or depending on the state, it's a little bit different. But you have to like register and do the thing. They can help you do that, and I think that's where a lot of the action is at. Groups like For All Tennessee, groups like the 10th Amendment Center, groups like the Firearms Policy Coalition. They're the ones that are actually every single day making people's lives freer. And like the LP has done some cool shit, but if your passion is for something a little bit more tangible and a little bit more pointed, then click that link and tell us what you're trying to do and how you're thinking about funding it, and we'll see what we can do.
And over here we have the Libertas Institute, which is Connor Boyak's organization, and they lobby. They've done more for liberty than the Utah Libertarian Party has. Sorry, guys. I love you all, but Libertas is kicking ass and taking names.
Yeah.
Working on psilocybin
in Utah.
Legalization over here. Trying to break down that medical door first. And
if you guys beat us to legal psilocybin, I'm gonna be so pissed.
Well, if we do, it's gonna be Connor and his team that does it. It's they've done a lot of good over here. Luckily we do have those guys standing in the way of a lot of the digital ID stuff, and so there's people over here. But any state that wins, it's gonna be kicking in the door for other states. So,
Hell yeah. But especially if your state wins. That's
I
a
know,
much
of all
bigger domino
places.
to fall.
Yeah.
That means a lot more than Colorado or California or Oregon or some of these other
Yep.
states that are looking at it. So I haven't seen none of these numbers have moved since the last time I went through. So it looks like all those things will stay. So Keith Redhead, congratulations. It looks like you just won town supervisor, which is actually
Nice.
one of those things that you have a couple of weird abilities to veto some stuff, to allocate some funding in some interesting ways. So that's a cool one. I'll have to reach out and see what his plans are for town supervisor. But
yeah, congratulations. That's awesome.
Jacob, thanks so much for hopping on here and doing this. This was super great.
Yeah, anytime.
Tell everybody
Anytime.
where they can find you, who you've got coming up on the show, all those things.
So you can find me pretty much anywhere. Well, I spend all my time on Twitter, Instagram, and Telegram. On Twitter at Rise to Liberty, on Instagram at Rise to Liberty Podcast, and Telegram at Rise to Liberty. You can find the links to everything everywhere I am if you go to risetoliberty.com/links. That pulls up all of my sites, all of my socials, everywhere you can find the show. And I've got some shows coming up. I'm actually working on a video about CBDCs right now, kind of like what we were talking about earlier. As far as guests, nothing I can announce right this minute, but I do got some pretty cool stories coming out. So, don't go to YouTube because YouTube sucks. Go to Odyssey or Rumble. Those places are a lot cooler. Yeah. But if you must, I am available on YouTube as well. So yeah, just come hang out.
We have one viewer on YouTube right now. According to the
boo.
thing. Right.
Boo. But yeah, that's pretty much where you can find me. I'm always talking shit somewhere, so come hang out.
Hell yes. And guys, if you watched this and you were like, hey, I want to just like talk random shit that I only know 17% about with a bunch of my friends on the internet, click the link in the description and in the chat and grab a Streamlabs account. It is a great program that I use to produce all of our shows, and you can use it too. It's the cheapest and best system out there to multi-stream, have collab cam function. I know this was on Zoom because it's a little bit cleaner that way sometimes, but there's a bunch of different features on it. You can run a merch store, website, a whole bunch of different stuff. It's a great thing. So go on over and check that out if you're interested in making some fun content. Definitely, again, click the follow button on the Fite Club so I can get a custom URL for the channel finally. And then come on back tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern. We've got Shut the Punk Up with Ben Weir and Tower Gang Toad, presidential candidate in the Libertarian Party. And then we've got Fight for Liberty at 9:11 p.m. with Michael Rechtenwald, presidential candidate in the Libertarian Party. So we got back-to-back dueling presidential candidates coming on tomorrow night. It's going to be a great time. Jacob, thanks again for doing this. This was super fun.
Oh, yeah. Anytime.
Guys, until next time, keep up the fight.
This is FSM.